Baba in the house. So what we plan to do with your kind Daddy, good morning, sir. Sir. Good to see you. Always a pleasure to see you, sir. Sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, sir. Just want to seek the permission of everyone in the house that we would like to adjust the program briefly just to be able to accommodate the keynote address by Bishop Matthew Asan Kuka, who will be catching a flight very shortly. So please, we would have that keynote address and then we can revert to our original order. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Matt. Then could we have Bishop Kuka, please? Good morning, Bishop.
Good morning, Dele. How are you?
I'm doing very well, sir. It's good to see you in peace. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. I've been trying to reach you, but please, I want you to know that I'm your senior in Oxford. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I will definitely reach out to you, sir, after the conference.
Thank you. I really want to thank you for indulging me. I thank Dr. Patutomi because I raised this issue with him. I have a 12:15 flight to catch, and I'm actually sitting in the office of the manager of the airline at the airport. So let me, first of all, thank all of you for putting this magnificent event together. For a country that has been averse to history, we actually need to gallop up and increase our speed just to be able to catch up with some of the essential aspects of history. So this is a very, very important event. And I thank you for graciously inviting me, but I also thank you for giving me an opportunity. So what I need to do is, I may sound a little bit philosophical in terms of just asking a few questions as opposed to making a speech about some of the assumptions that we may have when we talk about a concept like never again. Because even for us to say never again, there must be an agreement about what the issues are. And I speak as a Catholic. Now, as Catholics, if you go to confession and you confess your sins, the priest will listen to you, caution, give you, admonish you here and there, but then he will ask you to make an act of contrition. And the act of contrition goes something like this. He said, oh my God, you will say, I'm heartily sorry for the sins for having offended you. I detest my sins most sincerely because they displease you, my God, who are so deserving of all my love for thy infinite goodness and most amiable perfections. I firmly propose by the grace, by your grace, never to offend you again. I make the point because when we are talking about, when we say never, never, never again, there has to be some kind of agreement as to our understanding of the issues, and that we have been remiss in. So when we ask the question, for example, it comes down to what do we remember as Nigerians and how do we remember these issues? Our brother, Bishop, who said the opening prayer, made a very, very good point by testifying who he was, where he was, and how he remembers the Civil War. Now, I think it's important for us to understand that the way that President Obasanjo, for example, would have remembered the war is not the same with the way that a man of his age, who was sitting somewhere in Kaduna, Kebbi, Katsina, Akwa Ibom, wherever, would have remembered the war. The way the soldiers remember the war cannot be the same with the way, those of us who are not soldiers remember the war. So the way the victims understood the war cannot be the same with the way that we all understand the war. So I think it's important that we all understand, for example, who remembers what, why do people want to remember. There are many who would say, as we always say in Nigeria, forgive and forget. And amnesia is very appealing to many of us because it helps us to forget the problem. But amnesia is more or less like getting drunk and going to sleep. You still wake up with a hangover. So the critical question, and I think why this is important, is for us to come to a point in which we can say never again. We must, as we say in the Catholic Church, acknowledge, understand the gravity of our sins, understand the consequences of our sins, and we are seeking forgiveness from God because we resolve that having realized the grievousness of what we have done, we will never do it again. But we always say we will never do it again by the grace of God. That is why we ask for blessing, because mere commitments are not enough. So we might say never again, only to find ourselves, unfortunately, sadly, falling back in the same pit again. Now, I think it's important. The second point I want to make is we need a coherent narration and understanding of the events, that have been part of Nigeria's history. And of course, this is not a time to go back to the history of the Civil War. But what is very clear to everybody is that those who won the war, those who lost the war, and General Gowon's gracious statement that there were no winners and no vanquished, which was an unprecedented statement in a time of war in which a clear victor had emerged. Now, the graciousness of the military laid the foundation for us to begin a process and a program of rebuilding our nation. Unfortunately, tragically and sadly so, somehow things went wrong. Today, those who fought the war have met a lot of people who are full of regret. I'm told of a general who is of blessed memory now, but who said, look, were the Civil War to occur again, he would be fighting on the other side. Now, there is a lot of resentment and a lot of anxiety and a lot of frustration and the feeling that, we have not learned any lessons. Years after the war, 51 years after the war, we are still hearing of the kind of agitations that ordinarily, with good governance, with honesty, with commitment, with devotion, with dedication, with focus, and with the right leadership, we should have put a lot of all these anxieties behind us. Unfortunately, these anxieties are still with us. To the credit of General Obasanjo and to my gratitude to the government of Nigeria under him, I had the honor and the privilege of serving as a member of the Oputa panel. For me, it was the best university I ever attended, the best school I would have ever hoped to attend, because I was able to hear stories, even though they were just snapshots, but one was able to hear stories from the length and breadth of Nigeria in a way, a manner that was largely unprecedented. Unfortunately, what happened, the kind of things that can only happen in Nigeria, because Oputa panel managed to generate quite a lot of data and a lot of information that academicians, policy makers with a lot of focus would have used some of that data to ensure that we erect a signboard saying never again. Because it gave us an opportunity, a mirror to look at ourselves. We had from those who fought in Biafra, we had from all sides of the country, we had from those who were the winners, we had from those who were the losers, we had from those who were actors, we had from those who were spectators, those who were victims, and so on. So I make the point that part of our problem in Nigeria is not articulating the issues, but we really don't have the mental toughness and the discipline to follow through with some of these diagnostic initiatives. So I make the point because, unfortunately for us, we've not been able to forgive ourselves as a people. The wounds of the Civil War have not been able to heal. Coups and counter-coups that followed after the Civil War, more or less were miniature civil wars by themselves because they threw up the same contradictions, the same anxieties, the same sense of frustration, and the same feeling of divisiveness across the country. So when we look back, we have to do a cost analysis of what has happened. And we ask ourselves, had we not fought the Civil War, where would we have been today? Had we not had all the failed and successful military coups, where would we be today? Had we not discovered oil, where would we be today? Had we not abandoned agriculture, where would we be today? Perhaps the stories would have been different, but I think that an initiative of this nature must also give us an opportunity to do a little bit of a cost analysis as to what the implications of our inability to have the discipline to pursue effective and efficient policies through has cost us. Because the result is that we find ourselves still sounding even nostalgic about the way things were before the war. 50, 60 years later, we are still agonizing and wishing nostalgically that we had a little bit of steady power supply like we had in those days. Because when we look back now across the country, the entire country, nobody seems to be happy. The citizens of Nigeria are not happy across the board. And even those who are holding public office are not happy. So the governor of Cross River crying tearfully on the ground that after having been governor for 6-7 years, he still felt he had not been able to meet even a fraction of the things he thought he'd be able to do as governor. So what really are the constraints? Because clearly we can see that people are not happy, even as some of the most basic indices in areas it is difficult for us to find an area of our national life where we are doing well, except in the area of corruption. And we are failing in almost every area. Our education, the lack of infrastructure, our inability to deliver on almost all the key promises that successive governments have made, our roads becoming debt traps, the collapse of our infrastructure, the deindustrialization of the entire country, our inability to even create new opportunities for industrialization, this massive cloud of insecurity that is now threatening to engulf the whole nation. So, I just like to make 3 points. The first is there is enough blame to go around from this administration, the administration before it. I mean, blame is part and parcel of politics, and politicians need to get used to that. But we have to then come to a point in which we can say, even though there is enough blame to go around, can we begin to identify some of the issues that are fundamental to erecting a signboard that says never again? For me, the first is the need for us to construct what I call the Nigerian story. And we need, especially now that there are so many extraordinarily talented Nigerians who are making films and doing all kinds of things, there is need for us to have almost a deliberate documentary, a movie in whatever shape or form that focuses on telling the Nigerian story in the most unvarnished form. And I commend quite a good number. Was I muted? Dele?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Oh.
Please proceed, my lord.
Go ahead, sir. It's been resolved. Go ahead.
So I just want to end. I'll take the next 2 or 3 minutes and I will end. I'm saying, for example, that it's important for us to have an accessible story of Nigeria in a way, a manner that young Nigerians can understand it, as we say, the labors of our heroes past, where this great country has come from. Because too many angry young people are taking Nigeria from taking themselves as the beginning of the history of Nigeria. It is important that the federal government or that people in different, with different initiatives set out to tell an unvarnished story of Nigeria. And as I said, I commend quite a good number of people who have done some really extraordinary work in trying to deal with this issue. But I think that is an important project. In part, it will reduce the level of blame. It will also help us to understand that all of us have a role to play in building this country. The second point I want to make is the whole question of, religion, the role of religion, in our society. It is a pity, that due to toxic politics, religion has become an instrument of war and violence. We need to roll back and because a lot of this is happening largely because people are using religion in an environment that has predisposed them, to this kind of application of religion. Today is religion, tomorrow is ethnicity. But none of these identities necessarily ought to be instruments for war. In a better organized society, where a government is even-handed in the way it treats its citizens, religion can be and must be for us a tool for uniting a lot of our people. Because if there are extraordinarily good people across the board, and the freedom of religion is something that must be cherished. The third point I want to make is the need for us to realize that as citizens of Nigeria, all of us belong to one country, and we are citizens under one law, under one God. What this means for us, for example, is that if we begin to push back a little bit the intrusive role of religion in public life, then every citizen whether they belong to whatever religion or no religion at all, will achieve a level of equality before the law, no matter their status, no matter the position that they hold. Because if you are a traditional ruler, if you are a bishop, if you are a president, if you are a governor, you are that because you are a citizen of Nigeria. So there is need for us to create a level playing field in which generally citizens feel very convinced that they have access to equal opportunities. That when they commit a crime, they will go before due process, and that the law is over and above any other form of identity. And finally, it is for us as a country to start to deal with the issues of what I call the problems of consequentialism. That is, what are the consequences for good actions? What are the consequences for bad actions? These, for me, are issues that are very important because we have relativized, we have created a culture in which most things that are criminal are relative. Most things that constitute breaking the law are relative. Corruption, everything has been relativized. We do not have a standard of moral behavior. And that also fits very clearly with what I was saying about the rule of law. Now, if we have an aggregate of all this in place, then I believe that we can begin a process of building a country that inspires and not confidence. A country that we have citizens who appreciate their history, who cherish their culture, who cherish the sacrifices that those who have come before them have made, who cherish those who have governed them with all their weaknesses. Because as I've often said to people, I have been around long enough and I've interacted with many heads of state in Nigeria. I've never met a single governor, minister, president who has set out to destroy this country. People have made mistakes, but we must learn to develop a culture in which we respect one another, the sacrifices that we've made, correct the mistakes of yesterday in order for us to move forward. In that way, all of us can gladly write and mount this signboard that says, never again will we go through the kind of things that have caused bloodshed and division in our country. I want to thank you very much for indulging me and ask God to bless you for this wonderful initiative. May God bless Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bishop Kuka. We love you always. You say it as you feel it. Thank you, sir, and please travel safe. I would like to quickly... yes, Bishop?
Yes.
Oh, so please travel safe, sir.
Thank you. I will still hang around because I'm in the manager's office, so I'll still listen.
Okay, so whenever the flight is ready,
when the plane is ready, I have my body back. Thank you. I will hang around.
Okay, Bishop. Thank you, sir. Yes, before we bring in the planning committee's chairman, Professor Pat Tumi, I would like to mention that this event is being co-anchored by my friend and brother, Mazi Nnamdi of NJENJEMEDIA. NJENJEMEDIA and Operation International have put the event together, and of course, the chairman of the planning committee is no other than Professor Pat Tumi. So he will give us his speech now. Good morning, Mazi.
Thank you. Good morning, sorry.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, good morning, my brother Dele. Thank you very much for that introduction. And quickly, I will hand over to the Prof. Prof, over to you. Thank you very much, Dele. I hope everyone is keeping safe. I have my face mask. I am an apostle. Everybody, please, wherever you go, ensure you keep safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, now on to Professor Pat Tumi. No audio. Can you unmute Professor Pat? No audio.
Okay. Am I audible now?
You are okay now, too. You are okay to go.
Lovely. Thank you so very much. It is such an honor, a privilege to be part of this continuing initiative. I'd like to say that this initiative started last year with the remarkable work of advocacy in trying to bring a better understanding of the civil war and its aftermath to the Nigerian people in a way that it will become a source of energy for building a new nation. Many countries profit off of learning from the mistakes of their past. And that's why history is so important to understand. Sadly, in our experience, for reasons of expediency and certain worries, we have reached a situation where people are afraid to talk about an ugly past.
Problem, Prof.
Can you hear me?
Wow. Now you are back. Now you are back.
All right. I was just saying that this initiative started last year as we reflected on 50 years since the civil war that we tried to make disappear. But we know that if people learn enough from errors of yesterday, they can in fact make a lot more progress than they are currently making, because they will rid themselves of the burdens that create mistrust. One of the biggest challenges in nation building is the challenge of what kinds of levels of trust deficit exists. We know that there is in fact an index around this in the world. We know that in countries like Denmark and perhaps Finland, that there is a high trust situation. This makes public policy implementation so easy. But in low trust environments, policy implementation is very, very challenging. The transaction costs are very high because you have to, as it were, hedge in many ways because of a low trust situation. And we thought that a better understanding of the Civil War can make it not just go away, but become a ladder that people can climb to a higher trust and therefore higher levels of growth for the country. Now, we are pleased to see that we have made progress since last year. The night before yesterday, I had a very lengthy conversation with President Obasanjo, who I hope will still join us for his remarks. And one of the things he said sounded remarkably like Bishop Kuka was saying. In fact, General Obasanjo insisted that we begin a project of trying to document the Civil War, getting all who are still living, who played roles, to speak completely frankly, even going back to the coup of '66 and all of those, document everybody's, the kind of work that the Kuda Commission started trying to do. Make documentaries, films like Bishop Kuka was talking about, and then people get to a state of comfort with the errors of yesterday. As George Santayana said, if we don't know our history, we're likely to repeat its errors. And so I'm glad that I am part of this process. The beginning point of getting value out of this process is altering, affecting our modus vivendi, the way that we live based on the lessons from yesterday. It can be called all kinds of names in the nature of the relationship between the levels of government and all of those things. If we get that structure proper, we will reduce the frictions that led us to the Civil War, and we will make a lot more progress. So I'm honored to have been part of putting this together. I want to thank Bishop Kuka for the sacrifice that he has made before jumping on his plane. There are several elder statesmen who are joining us, who were supposed to be formal parts of this conversation. But they are on standby. If the possibilities come later into, I would like you to invite them on to say what has been run through. So thank you to NJENJEMEDIA and to Vision and Television for helping us string all of this together. I hope that with all of this,
we have an audio issue, Prof. And your camera, we also can't see the flow. Your camera.
Oh, okay. I thought there was another camera following me, so I didn't use my own direct camera because there's another camera in front of me here.
Okay, maybe the camera
but
elsewhere.
Okay. But I hope the gist of my welcome is captured.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Let me say quickly that because of time constraint, we are going to be taking addresses of 3 minutes each because we would like to have the speeches. And without much ado, we would like to quickly call on our chairman, our Baba, the living legend, Pa Ayo Adebanjo, to please address this gathering. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello?
Yes, we can see you, sir. Baba, we can see you, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, sir.
Beautiful.
Thank you, sir.
Nice to see and hear you, Ovation.
Thank you, sir.
I've always said to see you, but you have refused to see me.
No, I've come several times, sir.
There's a lot to do.
This weekend, I will come, sir. Thank you, sir.
There's a lot to discuss.
Yes,
well,
sir.
I said to thank the organizers of this program. I know they are all patriots of no mean order. And the purpose for which they set out is a very noble one. And as Kuka said, we have to know our past to be able to correct what mistake we have made. And I'm happy that we invited people who were present or who took part in the mistake of the past. So when we make a suggestion, they can understand that we know what we are talking about. I'm happy to be here, and I hope whatever we discuss here will be a lesson for our people and for implementation rather than talking rhetorics. What I believe is that there is no mistaken belief or mistaken idea about what our mistakes were. It is the courage to correct them. That is what we lack. People make all sorts of analysis. This is what caused this, this is what caused that. This is what we should do. But how do we do it? Invariably, they do it in the negative. That's the summary of the thing. For Pastor Mr. that well, maybe if we go back to where we started, before the trouble came, we get peace. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is to go back to where we had peace until the trouble started. What caused the trouble? And as Kuka said in his speech, if we want to avoid the past, we must avoid the mistake of the past. The mistake of the past is that we are putting wrong pen in right hole. We deny people their rights. We say we are one and we discriminate against each other. So that's what I think you get rid of. And be honest with our analysis. If it doesn't claim sometimes to criticize or tell the government, they talk under their tongue. Afraid to hit the nail on the head. We can thank God for people like Mr. Kuka. And I pray that he should live long, because people like myself, we have now a very short time to live. People from that part of the country saying it as it is. And I hope those who are listening to listen well with good intention. Let us stop paying this service to one Nigeria. Let us stop paying this service to a united country. We must say it and act it. You can't say you want a united country and you discriminate against your other power. And as I think Kokau said that some of the things we are talking about now, we are agitating for. But we be a thing of the past to take it for granted if we really want to stay together. Talking about where the presidency go. At this time, don't know. If you want to be equitable, you want to have peace. And if you really want them to be here, why should somebody be a part of Nigeria and say he has no right to be the president of the country? Why should a section of the country claim that they will be choosing who will be the president and the condition? And you must pay obeisance to them. It's irritating. Such type of thing cannot continue and say we want to have peace. If you know what is right, we don't decide and do what is right, there will be peace. There's enough for everybody to share if you don't want to cheat. Well, let me stop them for now until let them their progress. I thank everybody that has been here, and I thank the organizers of the program. Party told me more grace to your parents.
Thank you, Baba. Baba kept to time, so we hope that we will all keep to time. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mazi Nnamdi, my co-host.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dele. On that note, I would once more say thank you very much, Pa Ayo Adebanjo. Every time that we call upon you and you come, and every time you drop it as it is, you know, one of the few elders still alive that today you are a joy to our generation to listen to. On that note, I will bring another person in the person of Chief Mbazurike Amechi. I am aware that he is in the house. Chief Mbazurike Amechi, please, can we spotlight him? Yes, he is another living legend, and it is an honor. Nayuku, I welcome you. Asingi, no. Udo derege Nayuku. We can't hear him.
Somebody unmute it. Okay, the daughter, the granddaughter, somebody's there.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, sir, loud and clear. Thank you.
You can hear me now.
Yes.
I want to thank the organizers of this program. I wish them well. I happen to be the only surviving founding father of this country alive. At this administrative level, I'm the only minister of the First Republic still alive. I'm sad. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to say. Beg your pardon. What I've seen today is no longer the country we founded. We got a constitution from the British government that named us Federation of Nigeria. But we thought that was a constitution put into effect by a law made in British Parliament, by British government. And so in 1961, we, in the government of the Federation, appointed a body to draw up a constitution for Nigeria. And in 1962, this constitution came into effect after plebiscite and passing through the parliament. Beg your pardon?
Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
And so we became the Federal Republic of Nigeria, no longer the Federation of Nigeria, where the head of state was a mere representative of the Queen of England. Now, since then, Nigeria has never had a constitution that is of their own making.
In 1979, the military government appointed the Rotimi Williams Committee. It wrote a constitution, a draft constitution, brought it out, put it to parliament, and the military took there was no parliament. The military took the constitution, removed what they did not like, and pronounced it as the constitution of the people of Nigeria. The Supreme Military Council, made up of about 11 top soldiers who assumed power by treasonable action, cannot say that it is a constitution of the people of Nigeria. Again, in 1999, Abubakar set up a Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly wrote up the draft constitution, brought it out to the country. The military took it again, removed what they did not like, and promoted it as a military decree, a decree of the Supreme Military Council, and called it a constitution of the people of Nigeria. It is not a constitution of the people of Nigeria. It is a constitution of the Supreme Military Council made up of top soldiers from a particular region of the country. So there's no point deceiving ourselves. If we want to stop the thing, the Nigerian people must come together and write a constitution that will be a people's constitution, put it to plebiscite, put it to the public to decide what they want. I happen to come from the part of the country that was conquered in the Civil War. I happen to have fought Nigeria as a united party. I belong to the political party that believed religiously in a united Nigeria. That was why the premier of the Eastern region, that was the people of the Eastern region then, headed by Askiwe as premier, elected a Hausa man, a Fulani man, as the mayor of Enugu, the capital of the Eastern region. We appointed Madam Umaru Yushau as a member of the Eastern House of Chiefs. We believed in one Nigeria. There's no part of this country that will go and you don't find an Igbo man having a business there. People don't have, the strangers don't have business in Nigeria. I want anybody to show me anywhere in Igbo land where there's a non-Igbo man establishing factories. But we're doing that. Yet we are. So where do you want me to go? I don't know. This country has to start all over again. And we're not going to be happy in a country. If we don't want us in this country, let us go. You can't beat a child and stop the child from crying. You can't beat the Igbos in this country and stop the Igbos from crying. You treat the Igbos as you don't want them, and yet when they say they want to go, you don't want them to go. I don't want to go. I believe in one Nigeria. There is advantage in greatness. I'm part of one Nigeria. I sacrificed for one Nigeria. At the age of 23, I went to prison for this country. And so I believe that Nigeria must be one. But Nigeria has to be ruled as a federation. And the people of Nigeria must come together and give themselves a constitution by the people of Nigeria, and not a constitution military council made up of 11 soldiers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nayugu, and thank you for that stating it the way it is. You know, it's one of those things where you've said it and it is very clear. Anyone who is fair-minded, like Pa Ayo Adebanjo said before, that there are certain things that ought to be done if we want equity and fairness to be the watchword. On that note, I would bring back my good brother and Dele Mamudu, again, the chairman of Ovation International. Dele, over to you. Can we introduce the next speaker? You can unmute, Dele.
Thank you so much, Mazi. Is it okay? I'm trying to see who is in the house already. Please, is Alhaji Tanko Yakazai in?
Yes, he's in. He's in.
Oh, fantastic. So then, please highlight our Papa Alhaji Tanko Yakazai.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Dele. How are you?
Very, very well. Thank you, sir.
Good to have you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes.
Ben, can you please select Alhaji Tanko Yakazai?
Hello?
Okay, good. We can see you now, sir.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I wish to start by thanking the organizers of this event for inviting me and inviting some of my friends who were together at the time of the struggle for independence to date. I'll go on to my address. Mr. Chairman, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, this event is taking place to enable our people mark the 51 years of the end of the unfortunate episode in our history. Left to us, we will rather totally forget about our civil war, but as human beings, it is beyond our ability to get an event that was a defining moment in our political history. We shall continue to refer to those moments to learn lessons and reassess our current political activities and the question of national unity. To mark the end of our civil war, we cannot help but to remember the history of the Civil War itself and the colossal loss of multitudes of lives and property in our country. Our Civil War started in 1967. Its origin is traceable to the 15th of January 1966, attempted military coup. Friday, January 15, was the day our nation woke up with the sad story of attempted military takeover by a few young Nigerian members of our military establishment. The known figures in that colors move by a few young people in military uniform were Major Chukuma Kaduna Nzeku, Major Don Okafu, Major Emmanuel Vijina, Chris Alforo, Major Tim Onwe, Major Humphrey Chukuka, Major Adewale Ademuyeko, Captain Emmanuel Nwobosi, Captain Ben Wuli, and Captain Och, all of the Nigerian Army. Out of 10, 10 out of 10 actors in that event were of Igbo in extraction, and one from the Yoruba ethnic group, none from the north. And mind realize that event cannot be sustainable or Situation Minister of Nigeria, and murdered one of his wives along with him. Those who abducted Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa also abducted the then Federal Minister of Finance, Chief Festus Okotie-Eboh, who was later murdered along with the Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa. Brigadier General Zakaria Malari was shot dead by a Virginia who was his brigade major, whom he stopped for a lift after escaping an attack on his house by the coup plotters. In that very fateful early morning, colleagues of those who abducted the Prime Minister also attacked the house of Chief S.N.A. Akintola, the Premier of Western Region, and murdered him. As if that was not enough, the insurgents rounded up leading Nigerian military officers, including the house of Brigadier General Zakaria Malari, Brigadier General Ademulego, Colonel Yakubu Pam, Colonel Kur Mohammed, and other senior military officers, and executed them. All the murdered individuals were from different parts of the country except the then Eastern region. That was the story of that darkest day in our history. It was the event that opened the unfortunate chapter in our history, which leads to the series of events that brought about the civil war in Nigeria. Even though Major General Aguiyi Ironsi thwarted the coup and became head of state, his actions such as making Nigeria a unitary state instead of the existing federal arrangement, and his appointment of many Igbos into sensitive positions at the beginning of his regime, which caused the serious concern and specter of ruination to people in the rest of the country, did not sit well with the aggrieved northerners still nursing the wounds of the elimination of most of their top military officers and government functionaries in January 1966. The July 1966 counter coup was bloodier than the first one and saw the death of 42 officers, mostly Igbo of Igbo origin. That and the killing of Igbos in some northern Nigerian cities, among other reasons, including some alleged bad blood which is said to be existing between the then military governor of Eastern region, Colonel Odumegu Ojukwu, and General Yakubu Gowon, the then new military head of state, led to the secession attempt of the Eastern region of Nigeria and the subsequent civil war that started. Recall that during the last constitutional conference before our independence, a motion was tabled for the conference to insert a clause in our constitution for any section of Nigeria to break away from the country. The motion was roundly rejected by the delegates, and the indivisibility of the Nigerian nation was enshrined in our constitution. Also recall that attempts were made mostly through the good offices of our leading figures and foreign friends to bring about peaceful resolution of the secession attempt. But such interventions were not successful. The result was the move by the then federal military government under the leadership of General Yakubu Gowon to embark on what was called police action to sustain the unity of the country, which resulted in 3 years of civil war to keep Nigeria one. As soon as the civil war was over, the federal military government introduced what it called 3 R's program. The 3 R's program meant reconciliation, rehabilitation, reintegration program. While some measures of success were recorded in the implementation of the 3R program. Due to human factors, some of the aspects of the program were not achieved speedily. But it is gratifying to note that our country has since achieved tremendous success in healing the wounds of the Civil War, and Nigerians are now living with one another in peace and harmony. People regarded as the main protagonists of that time, especially the Igbos and Northerners, are now living with one another as best of friends. There are many Northerners living in different parts of Igbo land today, while there are Igbos are found in every nook and cranny of Nigeria, particularly in places like Lagos, which is the foremost hub of economic activity in our country, and in the north, forming the largest number of non-indigenous inhabitants in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, which is located in northern Nigeria. Despite this level of post-war progress, several burning political issues remain to haunt our political landscape. These include: one, continuous call for a review of the 1999 Constitution and the need to restructure Nigeria. Two, insecurity in different parts of the country arising from military invasions and terrorist activities in the country. Three, the current secessionist movement with the state of Biafra under the umbrella of IPOB over 50 years after the Civil War was over. And four, the mistrust among major sub-regional groups which remain a threat to democratic process in our country. Lastly, we'll need to learn lessons from the Civil War 51 years ago and address squarely the fractional tendencies in the country today. Unity, peace, trade, justice, democracy, and development must be made to work for Nigeria to keep it one and stronger. We should tackle the issue by deliberately skewing our next development plan and constitution to contain integration strategy as one of the major features of the plan. I thank you very much for your time, and I wish you the best on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elder Batanko Yakasai. And you have taken your time to rail out, the histories that, as I would say respectfully, being understood and as was lived during your time. Now, we will be bringing other guests. However, there are some points that you raised that I would gladly want those who are also aware and who were around during the time, because what this event here today being organized by Nzuko umunna, an Igbo think tank, and being supported by NJENJEMEDIA TV and Ovation International, is to bring the narrative to the fore, where we can, as Professor said before at the beginning, and Reverend Bishop Cooker also noted, that we will get to the point that we can build something together. As the team said, never again. Never again that can things that had happened in the past happen before. On that note, I would say, if we have Elder Emma Elazu, if he's here, he can speak, and I would beg him if he can touch on some of the points as contained in the speech of Elder Pa Tanko Yakasai. Elder Uma Elazu, is he here? Back office, can you please spotlight him? And he can take over the podium. Back office, do we have Elder here?
Yes, he's here.
Okay, please. Oh, okay, yes. Nayuku, thank you very much once more for meeting us again. Udodrege, can you please now take the podium? Thank you, sir, for joining us this morning stroke afternoon. Sadly, I'm not able to hear him. If back office, can we check if is he now unmuted? If that is the case, please. Sadly, I can still not hear him.
Perhaps
okay.
Baba needs to unmute.
I think he's unmuted. Maybe I don't know if it's connected via the internet. Now you could try once more. If not, you might need to log out and come back. Try once more. He's unmuted. Can you, Chief, can you please try? Yes, I can see you are unmuted. Try once more, sir. Let me spotlight you. Go ahead, sir. Not working out.
We still can't hear.
Okay. Na yukubiko iwegadinoko biko cheretu iwegadinoko. It is slightly unfortunate we cannot hear you. Ngozi, can you please reach him out? Let him probably drop and come back again, please. Right. We cannot hear him. On that note, I don't know. On that note, I don't know if we have Mrs. Charity Shakari. While we wait to get Chief Uma Elazu, can we have Mrs. Charity Shakari? Is she here amongst us to make a brief intervention, please?
Yes, she's having a network difficulty. She's logging in. Maybe you can go to.
Okay.
She's logging in.
Can we, Mazi?
Yes, Dele, go ahead.
Okay. Is Ambassador God knows Sigali in the house, please? Internet.
Yes, I think Ambassador is here.
Yes. Okay. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Let me begin by appreciating the organizers of the conference for creating this opportunity for us to discuss and brainstorm on issues important not only to us, but more for our children. And I also would like to appreciate our fathers who are here. I'm happy to join again. We are part of a struggle. It's one of the leaders of Southern Nigeria, Middle Belt, and we've been in active discussion with the Northern Elders Forum, is the co-leader. And I'm happy to see so many of our contemporary leaders, my friend Dr. Akim Babamed, Governor Peter Obi, and many others who are here. Now, for me, continuing from from Bishop Kuka's intervention, keynote, which I think has covered the most critical issues. And I must commend Bishop Kuka. He remains, I did a lot of my scholarly work in South America. And I know that the change that came to South America came mostly from the clergy. We call them liberation theologists, and Brother Bishop Kuka has continued to play that role, being the conscience of the country and speaking what many of the ordinary people are not able to speak. But I think he has made a critical fact that meant what the war, who may not know, but those of us who are from the South were as much victims as the people from the Southeast. And like Professor J.P. Clark aptly put it, we're all casualties, both the winners and the other side. But we also found ourselves in Biafra. And in the opening remarks, the opening prayer, the bishop stated how, as a young man, he was being carried up and down. Your case was better because I was being carried up and down in water. I remember twice overnight I slept in water all night because of the fact that troops were coming, clashing with each other. So we're all casualties. Now, going forward on this particular discussion, I think wars have always been with nations. Nations, human societies, people have always tended to express themselves in terms of having strong views, which sometimes end in conflict. So we have seen civil wars as part of human history. And it's not to bemoan the fact that a war took place. We all knew of what happened in the American Civil War, where over 600,000 people died. And the series of wars in European history that took place 100 years. The proclivity towards wars.
Yeah, nna ya okwu. Ọ Maazị Ezoke na-ekwu. Ahụ m na o kweghị ka ịgbanye amaghị m, anyị anụghị ihe ị na-ekwu na the conference. So ihe ga-emenụ bụ na anyị ga-try again. Ọ bụrụ na ọ ga-work, mana m ga-akpọzi gị na the issue of line now, then ga-ekwu ga-agwazi anyị okwu through audio. Mana
can it be sent to my mail? I've been looking for it.
Mail. Because man, Ibata at the meeting now, Ibata, and we saw your face, but we couldn't hear you.
Okay.
But I'm just thinking, as an alternative, Kama Oga Emeha, then you can speak to us through this, yeah? Well, thank you.
If you look at it, South Korea has its own internal motivations. Even Somalia, there are clans and so on. So every country has a level of heterogeneity, a level of diversity. So diversity is not an excuse for inability for people to build states. Now the last point I'll make before I give one or two recommendations is the fact that state building is not a one-time thing. It's not a one-ended thing. State building is continuous. Nations are built continuously, and without sounding immodest, I must say that my academic work and my 2 award-winning books. This is entitled Global Trends in State Formation and Origin into the Inquiry, Survival, and Dynamics of Nations. And I've looked at, then we look at the perspectives of nation-state formation in Africa, both which are award-winning books that are school curriculum all over the world. Now, we've seen that you build nations, you don't stop, you continuously make effort. And I think that is the lesson for us, who are the leaders of today. The building of the Nigerian project must be a continuous exercise. It's not something that because war happened, we have to bemoan the war, we have to say, oh, we suffered during the war, or we won the war. No, we have to see that we continuously try to build. What do we need to do? Number one, elite consensus. We, the elite, must agree that we need to build this nation. We need to build this country. We need to talk together. We need to think together. I remember the thoughts of Julius Nyerere. Nyerere said, building nations is continuously talking. And that is why he opposed the Westminster system, where they told him there must be opposition, there must be shadow government, there must be the government. He said, no, in the African palace, in the traditional setting, you don't have somebody opposing somebody. You all talk until you agree on a consensus. We must think about consensus. We, the elite, must think of consensus. We must be able to labor and talk and see how we can build this country in a way that it is convenient to each other. And let me say this, Lord Lugard, Clifford, Arthur Richards, Macpherson, Littleton, they all realized at different times that this was a diverse country. And the only way this country could go forward was for the elite to keep. That was why the Ibadan conference was called the first place. And our founding fathers, please, it's very important for us to know this. Our founding fathers made it very clear that we are different people, that you cannot choke all of us into one box. But as we recognize our diversities, let us keep building a framework, a platform that all of us can be called a country. The other thing is rule of law. The law must rule. The law must rule. Our father, Bazuluke, has spoken and said about how we have deviated from the original constitutional norm. Very right. The constitution that was negotiated from Ibadan Conference, 1950 up to 1960 constitution, from after the military coup, we have deviated fundamentally. Now, it's not for us to cry over spilled milk. It's for us to see that we continue to build a constitution that accommodates everybody. You see, in a federation, in a diverse country like Nigeria, we must listen to each other. The constitution must cater for everybody and protect everybody. A situation where some people feel superior to others. A situation where some people don't feel protected by the constitution creates a problem. It's a precarious balancing. We have to consider each other. We have to know that every part of the country must be carried along. And that is why I think the expression on the part of the Igbos to say, look, hey, this country originally was a tripod and later became a quartet in the Midwest. But whatever it is, we too should have a taste of ruling the country. And some people say, no, you cannot rule the country. No, you can't say that. The whole idea of the law is that it takes care of everybody. It accommodates everybody and makes everybody to feel, have a sense of belonging. And maybe I should end by saying that when we talk about democracy, bread. You cannot say that because this is how democracy is done in other countries. No, it must home bread. It must be a democracy that works for us. We give the Swiss example. We give the Canadian example. We give the examples. And we must always fashion out what is best for us as a country. And that is why when some people talk about restructuring, constitutional amendment, we must be open to these ideas of how we can build this country. The American Constitution itself, since 1787, when the first Constitution came in, but there have been 27 major amendments. Each of the 27 amendments is almost like it alters certain fundamental things. The French Constitution from 1958 has gone through 24 amendments. If you go to places like Indian Constitution from 1950 has gone through 104 major amendments. Each of them is like a major amendment that has tried to accommodate everybody. So, Mr. Chairman, organizer, ladies and gentlemen, we can build this country, but it must be a country of fairness, it must be a country of equity, it must be a country that protects everybody. If, for example, you take the oil from the Niger Delta, our environment is polluted, and you say, no, rubbish, I don't want to listen to you, then you are not looking at us as people that belong. These are the critical issues that we must look at all times. All parts of the country must have a sense of belonging. And we must be able to build a society where we take our people into modern societies, where food security, people are hungry, very, very hungry. There are no jobs for people. We, the elite, must be able to create an environment where people are able to live a little bit like other countries. I heard the example of Scandinavian countries for living. Fortunately for me, I was ambassador to Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and Finland. And many times I had to ask a lot of questions to people in those countries. And the important thing is that the society, the state, is able to take care of the needs of the people. And that's why they call them social welfare states. In fact, nobody is too rich. Nobody is too poor. So nobody is poor, actually, but nobody is too rich. So the society takes care of everybody. And we, the elite, particularly those who are in positions of authority, must be able to know that the collective future of this country depends on what can avoid not going back to what had happened before. It's for us to build a society where people are able to sleep at the end of the day, haven't eaten, and at the end of the day, feeling that this society takes care of me. This society protects me. No Nigerian is superior to me. I go for a job, and based on certain criteria, I'm able to take the job, not because of the fact that somebody feels superior to me. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there will be more opportunity for us to talk, and perhaps I should stop at this point and be able to make more interventions in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much. At this stage, we would like to bring on Mrs. Charity Shekari. Mrs. Charity, please come on now. And let's emphasize that because of time constraints, we should keep our speeches to 3 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, ma. We're ready for you, ma.
I want to thank the organizers of this conference. And I want to say, God bless Nigeria. I speak here after greeting the keynote speaker, our former president, and every one of you. Baba Tankwe Akasai, I can see Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed, Igali, and Dele Homodu that I've always seen from a very far distance, but today I can see you closely. I want to speak as a mother, a woman, and a black mother. And I want to say that Nigeria, from the perspective of a woman, a mother, we will want to remain together. And we want to say never again, truly, and never again. And especially all the things that are happening now, mothers are the victims, women and children. We have become widows. We have become displaced, refugees. We are dispossessed, impoverished, exploited sexually, and many other ways. What is to be done for us to keep this country together? Emancipation, empowerment, and involvement of women in the processes of peace and human capital development. But as we say never again, is that really happening? Are women actually being involved and made to be involved consciously, knowing that the woman is a universal factor. For every religion, even beginning from God, when he wanted to salvage the world, he sent Jesus Christ through a woman. Why did he give a man that opportunity? Because a woman is dependable and a woman can deliver. Now, a woman can do things that men cannot do, and that is salvage situation. So, are we really saying never again and having the consciousness of putting women in the position where they can ensure never again? What is being done to see that in all sphere of life in Nigeria, in governance and everything, that women are involved? And again, I'll move away from talking about women. I want to talk about this country. No one owns this country. If really we want to say never again, no one owns this country more than the other. No one has more monopoly of violence, of knowledge, of rule of law. Of when you want to go to look for something, you can't get it because you come from another part of the country. Or because you belong to another religion. Some people speak with arrogant voices, with the kind of speech that makes you wonder whether you have equity with them. If Nigeria is going to be one, our voices must be such that listen to the voice of reason and peace. Not to say, I don't want this country. Another one says, I own this country. Another one says, you come from this area. Or even the conflicts we have in this country, some people want to give a different narrative of what it is. So if there's going to be never again must be observed, never again. But the conduct and the processes of arriving at never again need to be re-evaluated. Some people conduct themselves as if they are the ones who rule this country forever, and nobody should talk and nobody should say anything. Hey, this country belongs to all of us, and never again is truly going to be never again. And we want Nigeria, and we want Nigeria to remain. And we remain with the country, not with people, not with political parties or people that have institutionalized themselves and made themselves gods. Nigeria will survive, and we're going to survive emancipated and empowered. But never again must follow the due process of never again. Our constitution must be the people's constitution. People must begin to talk in a way that makes you know that you don't have the monopoly of violence or the monopoly of power or monopoly of knowledge or monopoly of deciding who stays in which part of the country or who takes which position. Nigeria never again will what Biafra put us through or whoever put us through. Nigeria never again. We want the history of what has happened to be given to our children. Let the children know what happened. What happened in Biafra? What happened in 1966? What happened? We want to know. We want the children to know from the beginning to the end. Let the history be rebrought for us to know what happened so that people can know their history. Let us know where we are coming from. Let us know where we are going to. I guess I've spoken for more than 3 minutes, but I want to say never again. And if it is never again, it should be on equal platform. No one has monopoly of owning anything in this country. We are equal. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much once more for the passionate speaking as a mother. again, we say, and I summarize from what you say, it's not about to mount it, to say never again, but it is about putting actions to see why it shall never happen again. I will take the privilege now to get back before we had Elder Omar Elazu, whom we tried bringing on before, but it appears there is a problem in his own connection. So we will have the privilege of having him speak to us via the telephone. And as long as he picks, he will come up now. Elder Omar Elazu, I don't know if did he manage to come on back office. Can you please check? If not, he's been placed on speaker now. So if he comes in, he can quickly speak to us either way. Either he comes back. Okay, so Elder Omar Elazu, please, 3 minutes. Is he back on?
No, he's not back. You can proceed through the phone. He's not back.
Okay, so yes, I'm trying to connect him now via the phone so that we can have him quickly speak to us and make his intervention. While we do that, I think we can quickly go to the next person, and since the connection appears to be a little bit problematic, I think the line is somewhat busy, but it's fine. We will go to the next person now, and that will be in the person of the Afro Senator. That is in the person of Senator Shehu Sani, a former senator from Kaduna State. Senator, can we please, back office, can we spotlight him? We have Senator Shehu Sani there. Senator, you're welcome. And please, can you make your intervention max 5 minutes? I think the back office will help us with the sign when they exceed so that we call their attention. Senator, you're welcome. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me. Well, it is an honor to be here and make my little contribution. First of all, I must appreciate the honor of this invitation. And then I have had the presentation by various speakers, particularly the elders, those who have seen it all. But for me, I have a very little contribution to make. First of all, we can happily say that the civil war has ended over 5 decades ago, but the civil battles continue. Because from the time the last gunshot was silenced to this time, thousands of people lost their life as a result of issues still that has to do with the unity of the country, whether it is ethno-religious war or sectional issues or whatever. We are still having problems with ourselves as a country. And then the next I will say is that what are the lessons we have learned from the civil war? Because for such number of people to have died, over 2 million, and for such a country that has invested so much in that war, in the name of uniting a country, what have we actually achieved? Are we actually united? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Well, for you to get the practical answer of that question, you need to go through the comments of people, young people that come from the southeast, and young people that come from the north, and young people that come from the southwest. When you go to social media, the young people who have even not experienced that war are still entrenched in the belief, young people from the southeast, that the war was a massacre, was a persecution of people of Igbo ethnic stock, and the ones from the north still feel justified on the federal side. So what have we actually achieved? It is important for us to understand that the national anthem is not enough to unite a country. The constitution of the country is not enough to unite a country, or the national pledge, or whatever emblem we have, the national flag, or whatever. But what is most important is that we must entrench justice and equity. Every part of Nigeria and every Nigerian from any part of the country must be given the recognition, the honor, and his dignity must be recognized as an equal participant in the Nigerian enterprise, which is very much lacking. In the late 50s, Umar Altine from Sokoto State contested election in Enugu State and became mayor. His family still lived in Kaduna, and I happened to visit them some few weeks ago. Their own thinking about Nigeria was different from what we are having today. In 1999, Ike Madu from Imo State was born and lived in Kaduna, and he contested the State House of Assembly and won. Now, with these two examples, it is impossible for you to say 2 decades after the restoration of democracy, it is possible for anybody from the north to win an election in the south, or anybody from southwest to win an election in the southeastern part of Nigeria. So we're supposed to have said we have progressed to the point that we can really say that we are united as a country. Truly, we have built the Niger Delta Bridge and one is still under construction. But the unity of our people in their hearts, their mind and spirit is still lacking. People still identify with themselves, with their ethnic affiliations, with their religious groupings. We completely lost what we thought we have founded by that war. And I think these are issues that we need to put forward. People will say that progress has been made by establishing schools, unity schools, NYC and whatever. But just engage each Nigerian from where he comes from in a discussion and see what he will say. And they were not speaking out of a theory. It's the reality that that really formed them as a people in the last 5 to 6 decades. If you are holding a position of authority, whether you are a controller general of prisons, immigration, and customs, and your time of retirement has reached, instead of those in the political authority to give the next person in charge to hold that position and assume the seat, they will retire as many people as possible until they reach someone of their own ethnic group. Now, how can you unite a country with all your national conferences, national flag, national anthem, once some Nigerians are more Nigerians than others? You can have a country that you can actually be proud to call your own. The agitations will continue until we have a political class that really understand that the only way to unite this country is to entrust justice and equity. And you cannot do that until you make sure every Nigerian is fully convinced, or majority of Nigerians fully convinced, that his birthplace, where he comes from, will not be a hindrance or impediment for him to achieving anything in life. So I believe that a conference like this should continue and should bring in more people whose contribution will assist us in where we dream to be. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable, that is Senator Shehu Sani. Thank you very much once more. As your colleague, or your former colleague would always say, you speak the truth, you die. You don't speak the truth, you also die. And I say thank you very much for staying with the truth this afternoon. On the same time, I would I have Dr. Omar Elazu on the line, on the telephone. He's going to now speak to us via the telephone. Elder, please, can you quickly make your intervention note? I would want you to look slightly to the presentation made by Pa Tanko Yakasai as he made his presentation. And I will want you, in your submission, if you can quickly also respond to that, sir. You are now, everyone is listening to you, sir. Dr. Omar Elazu, can you go on, sir?
Hello?
Yes, we are hearing you now. Go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for involving me in this discussion. It's a pity that I cannot manipulate all these first world gadgets. But a little that I've heard, let me comment. I heard my friend Tanko Yakasai reel out the names of Igbo officers who were supposed to have killed northern officers and politicians. But he forgot to mention the conditions that brought about the first coup in the first place. Because when you come to equity, as the lawyer said, you come with clean hands. If we are talking about never again, I was going to suggest that we look at it from a point of view of a statement of hope, not wishful thinking. It's a statement of hope that maybe we can stop the kind of circumstances that caused the first coup in the first place. I believe that Tanko Yakasai is as old as I am. He should know that the problem started even from the census. From the census issue, we moved to the issues in the Western region. We moved to the issues that sent Chief Awolowo to prison. We moved to the issues that caused Akintola, to take over the Western region. All those things, and the Western region election, which was the cap that made the young men of January 15, 1966 to do what they did. And if you read their speech, you will know that they were Nigerians and they wanted to make Nigeria proud. Even if it is all Igbo people who did it, which is not true. Those young men, in my view, were the real Nigerians who wanted Nigeria to stand proudly among other nations. Agree that in the process they did not succeed. But who stopped them? It was an evil man drowning other people. So when we tell how it will not help us in solving the problem of never again. Having said that, let me just say a few things. I believe Nigeria can be a great nation, but it cannot be a great nation if we keep on lying to ourselves, or if we keep on hiding our history. We have to write history in such a way we face the facts. If we want to say who killed who, then read Obasanjo's book, I've forgotten which one. And he mentioned, he himself knew about the coup. So we talked to him about the coup. What did he do? And there were many others like that. If I knew they were going to do this, I can get the list of the officers who participated in the first coup. But let us put all that aside. The issue that we have now, we are having this hope that in the future we will not get back into the issues that led us to 1966 and also what has been happening since then. Because after the first coup, the second coup, which was a revenge coup, took almost the lives of all Easterners, not just Igbos, Ibibios, Ethnics, Ijaw, officers who were in the army. They were almost all eliminated. Over 200 officers in one night. So we are not going to be saying, oh, you talk about some, you don't talk about others. It's not going to help us to say never again. Now, there are two things I'll suggest, because I understand I should speak for about 5 minutes, unless I'll come again. us to be able to come together and behave in a way that we will say never again. We must build a kind of moral order which everybody will subscribe to. What do I mean? When the Americans got together and wanted to establish the United States, they set up the very first sentence of their constitution. We believe this to be fact, that all men are created equal. Full stop. All men are created equal. Is there any sentence in our whole political history that will say all of us are agreed that that is the beginning of the moral order which will govern our living together? Unless we're able to do that, and in 2014, the Constitutional Conference did write certain conditions. They said everybody must have subscribed to it. I have been in almost all the Constitutional Conferences. We come around and talk and we go and nothing happens. And the fact is that there are people in Nigeria who don't believe that other parts of Nigeria can produce people who are equal to them. They don't believe that all men are created and women are created equal. They believe that they were given by that the British, by Allah, the whole of Nigeria to rule. And everybody else, you have to do what they say, or there will be no Nigeria. That is not the spirit in which we can say never again. And as far as I'm concerned, unless we sit down together, bring people together, and we agree that this is one thing that will hold all of us together. Like America said that all men are created equal. I would say if we continue to be in this Nigeria in the way that the dominance of some ethnic groups is taken for granted, and people from other ethnic groups start pandering to that idea, but we are not going to get out of trouble. Because today in Nigeria, the tension between the images of a moral order, which many of us have in our heads, and the actualities, things that are actually done, they are so miles apart. You can be talking about democracy, and then you cannot sleep with your two eyes closed because somebody is carrying AK-47 and wants to kill you. Somebody you don't know, somebody you don't know, somebody who simply wants to kill you because you are who you are. So, my friends, if we want to build Nigeria in which everybody will live at peace with one another, we have to start by creating an image of moral order, which we will teach to the next generation to begin to know in their hearts that they are Nigerians, and that anybody who is a Nigerian has certain rights and privileges which accrue to that name. I remember in 2005, Nikki Toby was the chairman.
Sir, can you run?
He wanted people to speak. And I raised my hand. And I asked one simple question, and he fled up. The question was, what is the definition of a Nigerian citizen? And what are the rights that inhere in being a Nigerian citizen? And that question has to be answered. Let me stop there.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. If I could listen to others, I can say more.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. The back office will get back to you. We'll try to see if we can get you back in the main meeting. On this note, we'll say thank you very much and have a wonderful day. We'll bring you back again to the main meeting. Now, I will be handing over to my good brother, Dele Mahmoud, please, to bring in the next guest. Dele, over to you.
Yes, our next guest is a woman of substance and someone I like to hear speak all the time. And we're speaking of no other than Our Lady of Music, Onyeka Onwenu. You are welcome, ma'am. We're not hearing you, ma'am.
Okay, you can hear me now, yeah?
We can hear you now, yes, please.
Lovely. Thank you, my brother. It's always good to see you. My deepest respect to our elders who are here at this meeting. Thank you so much for taking the time. God bless you. God keep you and keep us too. I'd like to start by paying my respects to some great men who've passed away recently. There are many of them. I'll just name two. And that is Rear Admiral Nnamdi Kanu, and of course, IPOB, who is the son of ZCOB, the president of Igbo State Union, under whom my father, Dixon Kanu, DK, served as the principal secretary. There's a long history here. We're losing people who have still so much to give to this country and so much direction to give to us. I'm almost tearing up and I don't want to. But I pray over all of us and I pray over this country that God will still have his way with us. This is a great country that we are all a part of, and there's a reason why we've all been brought together. Excuse me. Having said that, I want to thank the organizers for having me last year. I didn't expect to be on this year. In fact, I didn't want to. Because one of my principal problems with my people, Ndigo, is our lack of recognition and support for our women who happen to be the best in the whole world. We've proved that we can serve, we are committed, that we care, and we love this country. Not just Igbo women, but Nigerian women in general. We have not been given our dues, we have not been given our place in the polity of this country, and it's really a waste. You do not go to war with one hand tied behind your back. And that's what Nigeria is doing. And if you don't know that we are in a war, please know it today. We are fighting on all sides. This is not the country that our fathers left for us. This is not what they wanted. This is not what was organized. A country that is rudderless. A country that does not care. That the value of human life is totally diminished. A country where somebody can stand up and tell me that I have to be a slave, that I don't have a right to certain things because of where I come from. I say no. And that is where we stand, and I believe I've been listening to everyone. That is where we stand when we say never again. Yes, we have not explored all that brought Biafra about, and I listened to some of these speeches here, and I cringed at the fact that not much has changed. We have learned nothing from our past experiences, and that is very sad. But what I can say to Nigeria, to Ndigo, the rest of Nigeria, the world is not waiting for you. I'd like to thank all of those people who have criticized and abused Ndigo. When somebody fights with his wife in their bedroom, it's the fault of Ndigo. I was disgusted with all of us during the NSAS tribulation, and it was a tribulation, that our children were killed in front of us. What did we end up with? A strenuous effort made by people who should know to shift the blame for everything on Ndigo. Hey, come on. We are no longer considered citizens of this country. When there's a problem, everybody unites behind hating Ndigo. Be that as it may. I still have no apologies. God created me an Igbo woman. I am doubly blessed and doubly challenged. But that is why he put me here. And may he use every single one of us to achieve what it means, what he set this country up for. Let me round up so other people can have a chance to speak. Where do we go from here? Let me thank those that abuse other people. You encourage them. You make us stronger. You make us more determined. Because if you keep saying, go home, we are going home. We're happy to go home. The kid will go home. You didn't learn any lessons after the war, did you? Now you're back at it. And people, whenever there's trouble anywhere, everybody unites and asking you to go home. Please, let us go home. Thank you for asking us to go home. You are making us go home because you don't know what is happening in the Igbo region now. Is that we're getting together to realize that nobody loves you. I'm not speaking about individuals here, please. I'm speaking generally. You're not wanted. So even if they don't have, you're not wanted and they don't want to let you go, you can still go in many ways. Start taking care of your own problems. Start dealing with issues of food production, agriculture, development in every way possible. You are a people who are blessed just like everybody else. Never apologize for who God has made you to be. Stand on it. Take it in the chin and know that you can make progress and show the world that this group of people can never be kept down. That the true Nigeria can never be kept down. Those who carry on as if they own the world and they own heaven, one day you will stand before the Almighty King of Kings and you will have to answer. Thank you all very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that short and brilliant speech. So on this road, we'll be going straight to the next speaker, and that will be Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed. Doctor, please, you are welcome to make your speech now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Like others, I would like to also express my appreciation for being part of this very important meeting. And I'm happy that I'm speaking this late into the program because it has been a very rewarding 2 hours. I've listened to a lot of people. I'll be honest, I'm upset, deeply upset, because I've had the kind of voices that I thought we shouldn't be hearing at this stage. And maybe it's a good thing that the organizers picked the theme Never Again. It's we who should be reminded about Never Again, not the rest of the nation. We're more bitter now about the Civil War. 51 years after the end of the Civil War, we are more bitter about the circumstances, about what happened, what didn't happen, what versions of history we want to adopt, what version of history we want to throw away, than we were 5 years after the Civil War. We finished this war in 1970. Within 4 years, virtually all the Igbo who had left the North, who were still alive, had come back to the North. They'd taken up their lives. Northerners have moved to the East. Nigeria had moved on. Here we are 50 years, abusing each other, disputing the history. So it's a good thing that we are saying never again. But I think we need to recognize never what again. This is the elite. This is the cream of Nigeria. And we are speaking in a manner that suggests as if we're still fighting the war, which means this country has not made any progress. Certainly it hasn't been. Now, history is very important. Virtually every speaker here has drawn attention to the fact we need to understand what happened. And there are many versions of this history, and you can never get just one version. There will be many, many versions of this history. There's no problem with that. But let's agree on certain basics, even if we put a spin on some of them. There are many things Nigerians did well. That every Nigerian got together and agreed that the British had to leave in 1960. That was a great achievement. It was achieved by Nigerians. We ran a government with all the problems for 6 years until the military came in and took away a democratically elected government. And they launched the country on a path of tremendous disaster, which went all the way until 1970. Now, want to blame one part of the country, you want to blame the military, you want to blame the civilians. That's a different thing entirely. We need history, but we need to be careful. Our present and our future should not become captive of the past. If we do that, we will never fix the problems of today. We would always fight over what happened in the past. This is, for me, the most important lesson of what is going on now. We keep harping on what happened in the past. What do you do about now? What do you do about the future? How do you fix this country? How do you address the youth of this country? When we have fed on wrong information, misleading information, lies, alternative realities, we've created enemies for them they have no business having. So what do you do? How do you reinvent this country's history? How do you reinvent the future for this country? Now, for me, I think the starting point is to recognize the fact that the elite, the post-Civil War elite, has substantially failed this country, and even more than those who launched this country into the disaster that ended in 1970. So what do we need to do? I think we need to recognize the fact that as we speak, the year 2001, this nation has never been worse than it is, not even during the Civil War. Not even during the Civil War. I'm sorry for those who felt the Civil War was the worst disaster. It isn't. Today is the worst disaster we're living. You have a very poor governance, leadership that really doesn't care about Nigeria. You have massive insecurity. You have no fresh ideas. You have leadership that is more interested in having power than governing. You have complete vacuums. Leadership has retreated. Other leaders have retreated. All we do is insult each other, abuse each other. No one is building bridges towards each other. This is the state of this country. And the way we are going, it's just going to get worse unless something dramatic happens. So we need to recognize the fact that when we say never again, that it can happen again. Let's not kid ourselves. It can happen again. In fact, worse can happen. When people say, IPOB says, we don't want to be Nigerians, some Biafrans, we don't want to be Nigerians, they forget other parts of the country also, there are many people who particularly are not keen about staying in Nigeria. It's not a big issue. There has to be a consensus that this country is worth saving, and it is. And we must work together. So the Nigerian state is very fragile, not just because the consensus around its continuation is weak, but because the elite who should work together are not working together. So we need to recognize the fragility of the Nigerian state. We need to adopt a sense of urgency and history. This is very, very important. We need to change the quality of leadership we produce all over. All over. We are on our knees now because we made wrong choices in the types of leadership that we elected. Politicians at all levels have no business being near power. So if we want never again to have to be actually never again, we need to revisit the process by which leaders emerge. We need to elect leaders. Nigerians are fantastic people. We have the best. God has given us everything. We have no business living under the kind of leadership we're living now. So we need to take up two major gaps that exist. One, between the elites. You can imagine, a lot of people have been restrained in the way they talk now. We know, because I represent one of the groups of the elites, we know when we sit down or when we talk, we literally cheer at each other. Now, who else is going to fix this country? Is it the same government that can't fix security, can't fix the economy, can't fix the youth? They cannot fix this country. So you need to close the gap between the elite, and you also need to close the gap between the elite and citizens. What do we need to do? We need to build bridges. Thank God. I mean, I wish President Obasanjo was here. I would have said to him, thank you, sir. Because there's an initiative he started which is working now. He's bringing all these various groups together, and we're saying, put this nation on the table, and let's see what we can do with it. And we're doing it without questioning each other's qualifications to be there, without all the bitterness that I heard now in the voices of some people. So we need to build bridges towards each other, and we need to build the bridges that will reinforce the roots of this country. We need to adopt a positive attitude. This country can be fixed. This negative, cynical attitude that the nation has failed, I'm out, they don't like me here, they don't like. Look, there's no country where everybody feels equally at home. There's none. But we need to adopt a positive attitude. We can't fix Nigeria. We must fix Nigeria. Because tempting as it is, those who think that if they leave this country, they will have peace, you're making a mistake. Nobody can leave Nigeria and live in peace. And I'm telling you the honest truth. Nobody. We spent 2 months, we spent 2 days in the East, the Northern Elders Forum, talking to Nigerian communities who have become victims of the NSAS War's violence. And then we met thousands and thousands and thousands of Northerners from all parts of the North. These were people who were born in the East, who would not leave the East for anything. We have thousands of their type in the North. So the roots of this country are very deep, but we are not recognizing that we need to adopt an attitude that says, create a Nigeria for them. Create a Nigeria for these Nigerians who are all over the country, who believe that it is worth taking a risk to live in another part of the country and to contribute to that community where you are and to feel at home. And this is very, very important. No Nigerian must be made to feel second class. None. We must build a country of laws, not a country of ethnic groups, not a country of rulers and other people. We need to build a country. So we need to adopt a positive attitude. And it is very important, particularly among the elite. We can and we must fix this country. Then we need to integrate young people. It's amazing. I sat here for the last 2 hours. I've been reading religiously all the comments that have been coming in from people outside this meeting. It's unbelievable. Close to 90% of them are people who are insulting us. We don't want to hear. We want out. We want out. We want out. Look at these people. The youth is entirely alienated. And I don't mean the youth from the East or the West. Our young are alienated. They don't feel part of this country. And we are not doing anything to integrate them. We're not doing anything to give them something value in Nigeria. This is a terrible problem that we all have. What is for them in this country? Look at what happened during the NSAS protests. Those are young people, and they were fighting everybody, not just government. They were fighting messed up with the wrong generation. This is very, very important. So finally, we need to recognize the fact that Nigerian history is not all disaster. Nigerians have done tremendous things, including fighting a war and finishing it and putting it behind us. We have the war is behind us. Let's not live in the war. We're not fighting that war again. We need to recognize how our leaders collaborated, how they quarreled, but how they moved on. We need to create new values. This is a nation that can be great. It must be me. No one should assume that there is a future outside Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that presentation. And I think you raised some salient points that should please engage our minds and for us to understand where we are headed to. And not to waste much of our time, once more, I would use the opportunity to call on Professor Ladi Hamalai. Is the professor there? Professor Hadi Hamalai. Is the professor there? Back office, can we spotlight the professor? If the professor is there. Okay.
She's there now.
Okay, yes, she's here. Professor, can you kindly unmute yourself? Okay, you've just done that. Go ahead and make your intervention, Prof. Not more than 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. It's my pleasure really being here to have met since so many of those I've not seen for quite some time. May I just say something that is outside my own 5 minutes? I have an experience that I think I want to share with all of you. Nigerians, whether you are from the Southeast or Southwest or North, wherever, we like each other as individuals. We support each other. And I could remember when I was doing my research, I was doing my PhD then from the UK. I came from the UK. I stayed for almost 1 month in Lagos doing research, and I was assisted in so many ways by people from there. I went to Ibadan. I've seen people from the Southeast sending even data to me abroad using their own money. So that changed my perspectives about Nigeria. I think we Nigerians, we appreciate each other and we can work together. But when politics comes in, then that's when things start falling apart. I think we should go inside at the basic social personal levels and see how we can replicate what is happening at the personal level to the political level. And I'm sure it will not be difficult to fix Nigeria from my experience. And the greatest help I've gotten in my life are from people from the Southwest South, not from the North. Now, my topic of my paper, or 5-minute presentation, failures of contestation pluralism in Nigeria. A way of regulating polarization, divisions in society, through power sharing arrangements, resource sharing arrangements, and so on and so forth. And some people believe, and authors believe, initially people like Lippert and so on, that it's a panacea for solving divisions and conflicts within multi-ethnic plural societies that are badly divided. But we've seen also the failings of this kind of system. Consociationalism is not working in Nigeria well. Power sharing arrangement, whatever is resource sharing arrangement, is not working well. Even in Belgium, we are not sure if it's working that well. The intentions may not have been what is being realized, because every year you see more constitutional amendments in Belgium that is driving the nation towards confederalism and not the federation that they want to keep together. It's just like the states creation in Nigeria, the strive for state creation, create 30 states, you still want 50, you still want 100 more states, you still want this. This is what is going in Belgium. So, my real take on this is that I think we have a lot of things in Nigeria that are binding us and that can continue to bind us together. And we should look at some of these issues and see how we can maximize the presence of these factors so as to heal our nation. Now, the major issue that I've seen that I think it's important is the Constitution itself. The Constitution created a vacuum on this indigenous issue. Section 147, subsection 3, talks about ministerial appointment and must be indigenous of states. I think this is what created an issue, and since then you start having indigenous letters from local governments where to do anything in Nigeria. I think it's unfair if somebody's parents, grandparents, born somewhere and he will live up to the age of 30 and somebody will tell that person is not an indigent. We are not being fair to ourselves. I believe that we should amend that section and insert a definition of indigent, whoever is born in that particular locality, in that local government, and has lived there for 16 years, that's voting age, or 18, should be given indigenship certificate. So I can have 1 million Igbo people living in the north who are indigenous of those states. This way we can start breaking these barriers. This is my area, this is not my area. The we against them mentality will continue to disappear. I think slowly people now find that there's an open space in the country for everybody. You belong to whichever part of the country, not just one part of the country. This matter was raised during the assembly. There was a bill, one of the proposals was to amend that section, but it wasn't. I think our elites, political elites, to rethink that position and revisit this particular matter. Now, the other issue that I believe it's important is the market. The market is one of the best buying places historically anywhere in the world. And Nigeria are lucky that we have diversity in resources, diversity in culture, which would make a trade and investment important, and which can also create comparative advantage and complementarity that can unite a country. Rather than focusing on importing, why can't we focus on our domestic market and expand domestic market, expand trade and investment? I know successive governments have undertaken liberalization policies, marketization policies, but we are still not there. We have major challenges. Some of these challenges now include security, not only security, but even poor infrastructure. Fintech is there, is overcoming some of these barriers, formal and informal barriers. But I think strategically, policymakers should look at expanding the domestic market, expanding trade and investment, domestic trade and investment as a strategy for creating national unity, as a strategy for nation building, not just for economic growth. Then the other factor that I would want also to look at is that there's no way you can have national unity. That would be my final point. There's no way I can have national unity if you have so much corruption, very weak institutions, so much deprivation, poverty, unemployment, hopelessness of citizens, especially the young ones. You have to address some of these issues. There are researches upon researches done that tend to look at a comprehensive political instability index from the perspective of accountability and inclusiveness, accountability and economic growth. This particular, out of maybe a few thousand indicators, accountability and economic growth tend to be the highest in terms of contributing to political stability, peace, and nation building. Without that, good governance, then you are in trouble. Then you continue disintegrating, as so many of these African countries are doing. And I pray that we start looking at our own issues, political development issues, economic development issues, as issues of nation building, not just the market. You use the market to build the nation. EU is there because markets to thrive, development to thrive, you need a free market, you need an expanded market, you need all areas working together on the basis of equality and common grounds. Thank you so much for listening.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Professor Nnamdi Kanu. Thank you. I think you have touched on a very, very important aspect of this conversation, and that's integration, indigenship. And I would quickly use myself as an example. My father originally came from Edo State, migrated to Ile-Ife, lived in Ife, worked in Ife, died in Ife, and was buried in Ile-Ife. But if I stand up tomorrow, I was born in Ile-Ife, lived the first maybe 28 years of my life in Ife. But if tomorrow I say I want to be a senator in Osun State, they'll tell me the history of my forefathers. Now I've lived in Lagos. I've done most things in Lagos since the age of 28. Nobody would consider me a Lagosian. Whereas I fled into exile in 1995. Within 4 years, the British government told me I can apply for indefinite stay, thereafter apply for British nationality, but I cannot do it in my own country. So I think that should be the food for thought. If your child is born in America today, immediately your child is qualified to be an American. So if an Igbo man who has worked all his life in Lagos or Kaduna or Kano has a child in that state, even if you live there forever, people will still call you a foreigner. So I think these are some of the issues, practical issues we must address before we can move on. So on this note, I would like to invite a man that I admire a lot, a brother, a friend, Mr. Peter Obi, the former governor of Anambra State. I'm sure he's on standby. Please help me welcome Mr. Peter Obi. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you. I don't know whether I don't know whether I think are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
We can hear you now.
Okay, because I still have something here saying unmute yourself.
We can hear you. Can hear you, no problem.
Okay, well, mine is very simple. Let me, my dear brother, Tele, I think mine is to most sincerely thank the organizers for this opportunity of learning, because I've spent some few very good time learning from the time it started till now, that I wonder if I'm able to make any contribution at all. But thank you very much for this opportunity to learn. My contribution is very simple: never again. If you listen from our fathers that we hear, which I'll thank them as their son, because I listened to them tell you where they are yesterday, and you listen to my own brothers from Kuka to my sister Onyeka and Abe, you could see that when we say never again, we just have to remain prayerful, because we are still traveling on the same road to the same destination. The road has gotten more bumpy, worse than it was then when they traveled it before. So if you compare what I've heard today and what is happening today, it's like what brought Nigeria to that destination in the past have actually gotten worse today. So that road has become more bumpy. The destination is even worse, because some of the things, coincidentally, when one of the fathers, Tanko Ekasa, was talking, he talked about Emmanuel Uwobosi being part of the queue. Emmanuel Uwobosi is actually going to be buried tomorrow. I'm actually leaving this to attend his nights of tributes and everything. It's going to be buried tomorrow. And I've listened to some of them who are involved one way or the other. And you could see that all those things that made them participate in what happened are still very much with us today and getting worse. Starting from number one, incompetent leadership with total lack of capacity and character. You have a situation where issues of corruption are worse today than it was then. Unemployment are far worse today, where you have millions of young people in their productive age not knowing where the next meal will come from. and nothing is, the government is not thinking anything about it. So I can go on and on. That's why I said for me, it was more of a learning. So my contribution is that as we talk about never again, I will enjoy listen to people like Baba Ahmed and said, we the elites have to now stop and come together and sit down on how we can pull this country out of this mess, or it will consume all of us. That's where I will end. I said my own is the learning, but we cannot continue the way we are today. We have across the entire country, for local government to the highest level, what I can call incompetent leadership that don't have the capacity to solve the country's problem. Then you have discussed it, and I tell you, you don't go to a Formula One competition, they Molue drive. These vehicles are being driven by Molue drivers. The vehicle across the country, that's why you have too many accidents. So you need to have the proper people who are competent, who can do the job and everything. That's what China, India, everybody, Professor Patton has studied so many countries, he knows that the first thing they start with is competent leadership. If you don't have it, you have a problem. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We're neighbors that we don't see. You are too busy. But I'm happy to at least see you here today.
My village, I'm in Onitsha.
You are in Onitsha, okay.
That's the only place I can live in Nigeria.
No, you can't run away from Lagos. You are part of us here. So, on this note, it would be nice for us. I've been taking some questions, and I'm sure Mazi Nnamdi would have seen some questions or comments from people. But the one I would like to take first is the one that talks about what Chief Abiola would have described, and Chief Abiola would have said it, that you don't shave a man's head in his absence. If you say never again, there are many Nigerians today, old and young, who no longer believe in Nigeria. So those of us who believe that Nigeria can still be salvaged are the ones talking and having this conversation. And then someone has asked a very pertinent question, that we have someone like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is very, very influential in Southeast. He no longer talks about Nigeria. He believes that it's not feasible, it cannot exist. I noticed that I saw him online during this program. And if he's still there, I would like to ask him, one, why he has given up totally on Nigeria, which is cheaper and which is less dangerous to our well-being, to fight another war or to stay together. So I would like to cook that discussion. If he's there, I will ask Ben to please highlight him, and then let's hear. You see, because it is true we cannot change the mindset in life. Some people are already talking that no, they want to go away. My own concern is that Nigeria, it's possible for Nigeria to break up without a fight. And so, do we want to kill more millions of people or what, so I leave the rest to him if he's there? Has anyone say Mazi Nnamdi Kanu if he's there? I know I saw him briefly. If he's not there, then
maybe Mazi Nnamdi should also take one of the questions or comments.
Yes, thank you very much, Adele. I think Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is no longer here. I think he came in with Nnamdi Kanu's iPhone, or Kanu's iPhone, but I can no longer see that device anymore. On that note, I would say it would have been nice to have his perspective on the question you threw. Now, one of the things, if the back office could help me do is, we know that we have questions, as you rightly pointed out, but we have people who have raised their hands to either make their interventions or ask questions, and we will give them 1 minute each. Now, I know here, I've been told ab initio by our sister, Ankyo Briggs, now who is also now with us here. It would be nice to have Ankyo Briggs make a very quick intervention. We permit you 2 minutes, but please, sister, do not exceed the time allotted to you. Ankyo, if you can unmute yourself and make yourself visible, we will. I think you unmute and mute yourself again.
I have unmuted. Can you see me? I can't see myself.
Unmuted, yes, but seeing you, I think the back office will need to spotlight you. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, let me continue so that I don't hold you up. Thank you very much. I've been here from the beginning. It's definitely a program that I am interested in, and I speak as a Niger Delta indigene. I speak as somebody from the former Eastern region. I speak here as an Ijaw person and as a Southerner. I speak as someone who experienced the war. I was a teenager when Ojukwu declared the Biafran state, and I'm very much aware of why the war was fought. I describe the war as a war of revenge, if you like, against what happened during the first coup, as Franco Yakasaya very well detailed, and even calling the names of the people that were involved. Now, one person's experience in the war, especially if you were caught up in the war during the in the eastern part of Nigeria, your experience, for instance, in Enugu, does not make my experience in Port Harcourt a lie. It is just that there are experiences that we experience differently at different locations of the war. Now, having said that, it's a different view when people react to the war, the stories of the war, from second to third-hand information, because we don't have historical facts documented and taught in our school. So these are all part of it. But I would really, because of time, I would want to fast forward the experience of the war to where we are today. That the fact that Gowan said that there is no vanquished and no winner, that's not true. That's a big lie. There was, and still remains, and the way the Igbos are treated, there is a winner and there is a loser. You cannot say that people who you made to use 20 pounds, whatever the equivalent, the name of the money was at that time, that people who had millions, even billions in their account, were only entitled to 20 pounds of whatever value it was. You can't say that people like that are not going to feel that they lost the war. Now, fast forwarding it to the political situation in Nigeria today, the political situation is saying, and I have said this, that first of all, the North, the way the North is projecting itself it has no idea of giving up power in 2023. If it does, you will not have people of northern origin like El-Rufai saying that they want to contest for presidency after Buhari has done 8 years, that a northerner will now contest again because that is fair. No, it is not fair. It must be ceded. Each political party must cede it to the South. And who in the South? The Yorubas have done 8 years. The Niger Delta people under Jonathan have done 5 years. 4 actually, if you consider that he was only elected for 1 tenure. Now, so if it's going to go to anybody for equity and justice, it has to go to the Southeast. That is my personal position that I am canvassing amongst my own people. Because if we go into 2023 election and we don't have a new constitution and we have not restructured Nigeria, then we're wasting our time. Now, the very last point I would want to put across is the fact that people are saying they want to live. I believe in that concept, depending on the argument, depending on where you're coming from. If people are frustrated enough, and we all are at different times, the Niger Delta people, my people raised arms against Nigerian government in the 2000, leading all the way up to 2009, when they accepted amnesty. Now, if you're coming from that angle, we've done everything. We've even brought the economy of Nigeria down. So if my people now feel that the only way is out, then you have to discuss from that platform. If Igbo feels that they don't want, then you have to discuss with them from that angle. So when people come on forums like we have now and make us to feel whether it is Igbo, whether it is a Niger Delta ethnic nationality, make us to feel as if we are the problem of Nigeria. No, Nigeria is actually the problem of my people because there is great injustice. You cannot continue to sustain 36 states if you take away the oil producing states. Take all their oil, share it amongst people who produce nothing, and then say that this is about one Nigeria. No, it is not about one Nigeria. We must do something about the constitution if we truly believe that we want to fix Nigeria. Then if we don't want to fix Nigeria, that's what we say, okay, let us discuss how we're going to move forward, whether that moving forward means within or without Nigeria. I don't know whether I'm still within my space or not. I think
thank you very much. I think you've well exceeded your allotted time. On that note, I would be handing over to my good brother Dele for that. I think Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is back here, so Dele can repeat that question again.
Thank you very much. He's back. I've had the privilege of speaking extensively with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the past, and we've been on this conversation for a while. So I'm happy to welcome you back, Mazi. Thank you for agreeing to join us back at short notice. The question is, there are those who believe in Nigeria, but you have virtually given up on Nigeria. And I've asked this question before. Do you think it is possible for any part of Nigeria to break away without another war? Which is the concern of most people who oppose whatever you stand for at the moment. So is it possible for us to break away without another fight? And here we are at this conference talking about never again. The meaning of never again means we should not repeat the tragedy of the past. Thank you, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
Thank you, my dear brother Dele. Thank you very much. And also Mazi, the co-host of this very wonderful and unique forum. I want to acknowledge those that went before me, our elders, the two people that I actually have so much regard for. by Adebanjo, and also our own father, Mazi Nnamdi, and also my regards and respect to Bishop Coker and all the rest of them that spoke. The fact of the matter is that we can break the war without any rancor or need to go to war. We mustn't forget that there was a country called Czechoslovakia. Today, they are the Czech Republic and Slovakia. They never fought any war. And for us to properly contextualize this never again theme or scenario that people are talking about, we must go back to how we were before the white man came. There was no war between Biafran people and the Oduduwa people before Lugard came. There was no war between Biafran people and, say, the Fulanis from the north. Everybody minded their own business until the white man came and decided otherwise. Decided otherwise in such a way that even Igbo land itself is carved up into heaven knows how many states, even some of them in the north, as we speak. My own relatives from a land that we never fought any war with decided all of a sudden that we are no longer together or should be one as a people. All of these things are the vestiges of colonialism. And I blame it squarely on the shoulders of those that call themselves the founding fathers of Nigeria. And after them, those of them that call themselves rather laughably the elites. You don't have elitism in a place where there is no running water, no good roads, no good schools. Cattle headers are busy slaughtering and massacring people everywhere. And some people have the temerity to come out on national television or on this forum to say they are the elite. Elite of what and for what? What have you accomplished? Absolutely nothing. So all this vacuous elitism makes me very, very sick. I do not subscribe to it. My main point that I want to raise is a brief response to what Tanko Yakasai said a while ago. There seems to be this blame game going on in Nigeria. And as the bishop quite rightly said, it is called, I think in his words, if I'm correct, he called it relativism. When a crime is committed by a Fulani, there isn't much who heard about it. If some crime is committed by an Igbo person or by a Biafran, there seems to be an amplification of the implications of that very crime, regardless of how minuscule or irrelevant it may be in the wider scheme of things. Why am I saying this? You're telling me that you are in a country where the Fulanis have consistently been massacring people on a daily basis. First, they called them terrorists. Then they were called insurgents, and now they're called bandits. But you and I know that in the main, these are Fulani headers killing people. Nobody has ever suggested the designation of Miyetti Allah as a terrorist group. Absolutely not. You live in this sort of, under this climate, such as the atmosphere of impunity and lies. You witness these things every blessed day. And some people will have the guts or the temerity to talk about one Nigeria. Nigeria that came into existence only 60 years ago. How about the ethnic nationalities that existed before Britain was formed? The thing that we keep missing is this. Nobody has the guts to ever interrogate or challenge the deficiencies within Nigeria. And what do I mean by that? We never actually promulgated nor sustained the constitution in the first place. There is no Nigerian constitution. In other words, the ordinary public in Nigeria has no say in how they are governed. How then do you expect that country to move forward? How do you expect healing and reconciliation? How is that possible? You and I know it's never ever going to be possible. Yakasai and modern commentators keep harping about the 1966 coup. It was an Igbo coup, which of course is a lie. I would recommend that Elder Tanko Yakasai go back and read Ademoyega's Why We Struck. One of the people that he mentioned, he wrote a book, Why We Struck. In that very book, it was made explicitly clear that what happened in 1966 was a revolution. And I make bold to say this, without casting any aspersions or degrading anybody, only the South can carry out a revolution. Only the South. Because of how the North is structured. Their mindset, the way they reason, their value system cannot allow them to rise above what I call very primordial religious sentiments to carry out a revolution or a coup against their leaders. What happened in 1966 was a revolution, and in a revolution, there are bound to be casualties. What Yakasai was alluding to is the fact that no Igbo high-ranking politician or army officer was killed in the coup. But the fact of the matter is this. Under Michael Okpara, we had the fastest growing economy in the whole of Africa, if not the whole of the world, 40% every blessed year. How can you kill such a person? The Sadwana of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello, went to Sandhurst in London to go and give a speech in England, to go and give a speech. In that very speech, when he came into the hall, he segregated all the cadets, all the people actually, the so-called Nigerians at Sandhurst studying to become military officers. He said he wanted to address only the North. Only the North. Go through your, they talk about history all the time. But these same elites are the same people that connived and conspired to deny us history in our schools. Because they understand the implications. That was what actually led the likes of Nzuko to say that these type of people should not be at the helm of affairs in Nigeria. I give it to them in the North. The North was doing very well. So Ahmadu Bello knew what he was doing. The Father knew what he was doing. They all loved their people and they were developing at a very good pace, or should I say rate. But the fact of the matter is that there is nothing called one Nigeria. The sooner we rise up and face this reality better for us, or else our children and our students will be having these discussions in years to come. And that is not the way to go. In Russia, there was a revolution by the Bolsheviks. In France, there was a revolution. In England, there was a revolution. Cromwell cut off the head of King Charles I. Today, you don't hear the royal family saying, oh, people from Cumbria, where Oliver Cromwell comes from, should be denied access to good education because they rose up against the crown. In America, there was a revolution. In every revolution, people are bound to die. If something happened in NSAS, during the NSAS protest, these same people introduced tribe and religion into it. And falsely claim that those burning down properties out of anger and rage because of the killings at toll gates in Lagos are all Igbo people. The same people talking about one Nigeria to make Nigeria better. How is that possible? When people cannot be honest with themselves. All of you, all of us participating today, we all know that the Constitution is flawed. We know that the 1979 Constitution, or in fact, from 79 to 99, they are all flawed documents. You and I know that. Because it's the turn of your village. You want to rotate presidency, you want to start eating as other people, you want to start buying houses in Dubai, in the UK, and in America. You say, oh no, it is not in my turn. That is what they are doing. Once you're elected as a senator, as a governor, or whoever you are, you will say to yourself, not in my turn. Let me make that money that others have made before proceeding. You stay in a country, you are in a country where Umar Diko is the most corrupt individual out of Africa. He's the funny man. The families are now enjoying the loot, the money he stole. There was a man called Ibrahim Taher, if you have forgotten. This man burnt Nitel down at Marina after stealing all the money. And we are here pretending that somehow things can be better. It can never, ever be better. There is something called a referendum or a plebiscite. There must be a constitution formulated by the people, and that is the best way to go. Without it, these discussions will continue forever and ever, and Nigeria will remain as poorly and as deprived as it is today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mazi. Before you go, please, there is a fundamental question that we want you to address, sent in, that have you reduced the entire Fulani to herdsmen who kill Southerners? Is it right? Is it fair to reduce all Fulanis to herdsmen who kill?
I am trying to pay them back in their own coin. Ojukwu went to Aburi to negotiate for the same restructuring we are talking about today, going back to the regions. Every Igbo man in the north, every Biafran in the north, and to an extent some Yorubas as well, we attacked rebels, slaughtered and massacred in the north. What are the Fulani leaders doing about this state of insecurity and terrorism in Nigeria? Only the Fulani are responsible for ISIS in West Africa, for Boko Haram, for Ansaru, for all the so-called Fulani headsmen, sorry, the bandits that you have in the north. You have Fulani governors paying Fulani people to come to Nigeria to kill. A Fulani governor, I think the one from Bauchi, openly said, we want to relocate all the Fulanis in the Sahel back into Nigeria. And we're here talking about one Nigeria as if we don't have any brain. Do they think we are stupid? We cannot reason very well. We know what the end game is. The more they mount unity, it is to allow you, to lure you into a false sense of security, so that the Fulanis across the Sahel can come in to settle. Are you not aware of the speeches that the Kaduna State governor made at the height of the slaughter of innocent people in southern Kaduna? What did anybody do about it? Absolutely nothing. You did nothing. When they hastily tagged IPOB, a terrorist group, with no evidence, all of you kept quiet. Nobody did anything about it. No. But Mietiala is busy negotiating with bandits, killing and raping people, and everybody's quiet. That is why we are different. And that is why we insist that the Fulanis are in cahoots as to what is happening in Fisu. They want to take over the entire country and make it the home of Fulanis in West Africa. Go and do your research very well, you see it there. And we are not going to allow it. It can't happen.
Mazi, more northerners are killed today. More northerners suffer more from banditry than the south. So how do you explain that? In fact, now the cry in the north is that we are insecure. So which negates this theory or thesis that the Fulanis are killing the rest of Nigeria.
Who are the people being killed in the north, if I may ask you, please? Dela, my dear brother. Who are the people being killed? Where are the killings happening? They are happening in the Kanu, in Kanu.
We saw in Katsina the other day how many students were abducted. We saw in Borno, the most popular one, the Chibok girls. So the North itself is not as if the North is enjoying peace.
It is as a consequence of their own action. They underestimated how huge the problem would come in time to come. They fed this little python. They kept feeding it. They kept feeding it. And one day, the python turned around and started swallowing all of them. That's what they did. It is a consequence of terrorism. That is what actually happened. Once you spend years and years and years nursing and feeding terrorism, at a time it will come back to consume you. It is a natural consequence. It is a natural order. That is what they are suffering from. The true intent, the reason why they formed all these groups was to harass Jonathan out of office. That is a known fact. Nobody's denying that. They connived with Obama and all the rest of them. They planned perfectly to say that Jonathan was incapable of handling this situation in Nigeria. So a general has to come in. Tinubu, on his part, promoted that very false narrative. Only a general can save them. Because we are impervious to all the indices that leads to and sustains terrorism. And today we have it. In Afghanistan, it's the same. Afghan people, I wouldn't say that the Taliban is a terrorist movement. Of course, there's as such. But look at the Taliban in Afghanistan. They started by killing occupying forces. And after a while, today, you have Afghans killing fellow Afghans. As a consequence of the climate of terrorism, that is what happens all over the world. What is consuming the North today was what they themselves created. But some of us are too scared to speak the truth. Who brought terrorism into Nigeria? Let's be honest. El Rufai said it. We are paying bandits in Kaduna to stop killing people. Who brought them in? They did. A Fulani governor of Bauchi State said, we are seeking to resettle Fulanis into, are we deaf and dumb and so stupid we cannot reason properly? We are here talking about the niceties of constitutional change and reform and all the rest of it. They are not willing to do it. They understand the implications. Once you regionalize the governance of Nigeria, they understand that their stranglehold on the resources from my land that sustains that very contraption called Nigeria will slip away from their hands. And they do not want it. My anger is reserved for those who are complicit in the mess called Nigeria. They are complicit. Why are they complicit? They know the truth. You and I understand the truth. They have a solution to the problem. And somebody's telling us, oh, we the elites, we need to agree. Who are you? What elitism are you? From where? Who are you?
It is the masses, the population that determines. It is called a republic for a reason. It belongs to the people. The people will rise and determine how they should be governed. Not a few spent forces somewhere in Abuja discussing the fate of millions upon millions of people. I am a Democrat at heart. And I want, if it is possible, had Nigeria been good, do you think I'd be agitating? These people, they buy houses in Dubai, they buy houses in England. Is the man, people talk about presidency, regional presidency rotation, is the Prime Minister of England from his secretary. Is the Prime Minister of England, is he an Uruguay man? But you prefer to buy houses in England. You go to Dubai, is the Crown Prince of Dubai or whoever is ruling Dubai, are they from your village? Are they from your village? But you will prefer to go and buy houses in Dubai than to buy a house, let's say, in Belgium. But you are in one Nigeria.
Mazi, thank you so much for your contributions. We hope maybe you and I will have a direct conversation again very soon, if you agree. And then, yes, we can continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mazi, is it okay? Please do. I think we are getting to the end, and I'm sure Professor Batu will still like to have a few words to summarize what we have been able to achieve today. But the conversation will definitely continue. And I'm sure we will also bring Mazi to speak to us. So Mazi, please
thank you very much, my brother Dele. And you know, as you rightly said, we will be bringing in Professor Patu Tume to quickly speak to us. But after Professor Patu Tume speaks, I would like to give at least 3 people from the Zoom meeting, the participants or the guests. There are about 3 or 4 people who, for the last 1 hour, 2 hours, have been raising their hands. I would just want them to quickly, 1 minute, to have their intervention. But first of all, let's give Professor Patu Tume the time to summarize. Prof, can you please go on? Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate the passion that is flowing from all the speakers. I would like, however, to suggest that as passionate as we all may be, that where we're going is more important than where we're coming from. Yes, sir. We'll get back to you, sir.
Okay.
Yes. I think, first of all, let me give a message. Dr. Kalu Idika-Kalu has been on the phone with me. He's very unwell, but he wants his sentiments communicated to all. He wants to encourage us to see this as bridge building, which is really where I stand myself. We must build bridges to make progress. I think that Ambassador, God knows Igali, was brilliant as a scholar in looking at how history has affected the development of nations. There have been wars and there have been wars. There is no point in becoming hostage to yesterday. I think what matters is how we ensure yesterday does not get in the way of a better tomorrow. In Ambassador Igali's comments, he talked about Europe and all of those. I wish Nigerians read enough of that part of Europe's history. The defenestration of Prague and how a quote-unquote small thing resulted in 30 years of war that brought us to the Peace of Westphalia between 1618 and 1648. And the 100 Years' War was referred to in his comments. All of those things have happened in history. People have not allowed those things to block their future. Instead, they were building blocks of tomorrow. This is why I personally thought that one of the most captivating presentations today came from Dr. Akim Babar-Ahmed. Because, yes, we must understand yesterday. so that we don't repeat the mistakes of yesterday, as George Santayana warns us about history. But I think that it would be greatly service to the future if we become hostage to that history. However, learning these things from passionate people is useful to condition understanding, but not to color the essence of where we should be going. And that is really what matters. And so, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, your passion is understandable, but there are people who will see history from different perspectives. So let us just all manage this in a way that we can build a greater tomorrow for our children. Because this is really what counts. That history happened, it has happened. Where are we going? How do we build a nation in which there is equal opportunity for everybody? How do we build a civilization of love in which people care about one another? And we've heard even from this discussion of history. Senator Shehu Sani talked about visiting the Altini family very recently. It is those kinds of voices that we'd like to be hearing. That's the purpose of the Never Again conference series. How do you bring those out? I was talking about my 1.5 hour conversation the day before yesterday with President Obasanjo, and his insistence, if I threw the thing at me, you are going to have to lead this research that will produce these documentaries. Let everybody, we name names, everybody who was involved from that coup that we talked about, Bembulie, I didn't even know when we were discussing that one of them was going to be buried tomorrow, but we named all of these people one by one, this conversation with General Obasanjo the night before. And the question is, let's get all of them to speak truthfully. What happened? How did Iransi get killed? How did this person get killed? Not to get people to be lost in them, but so that people really know, and you can explain away some of the things were driven by rascality, some were driven by enormous passion of revolutionaries, some were driven by ignorance, some were driven by love of country. The point is that our country needs to make progress. We have fallen behind. Our peers around the world have gone way ahead of us. They too had wars. Why is South Korea, which is seen to have profited from even the great division that follows the armistice, the crossing of the 48 parallel, and all of those troubles that Korea went through, why is it making progress? Why is Nigeria the poverty capital of the world when that war gave us technology that we could have built on, and commercial enterprise will grow out of military, which is what happened in every war. I mean, the gains of military science is often what leads to the advance in commercial technology after wars. So I think maybe, in fact, I would like to see Senator Shehu Sani come back. I see that Bai Adimanjo wants to say a quick word. I'd like to see Senator Shehu Sani perhaps even come back and share some experience with the Altinis. And when we started this conversation, what I suggested to some of my co-travelers is that we should do a video of trains coupling together. The metaphor that I used, I mean, I lived for some time in Boston, and I used to commute to New York and Washington by rail from Washington. And if you go down somewhere, I think it's Connecticut, back in the 90s, I don't know if it's still that way, I don't know if it has to do with the gauge or whatever. The train that comes from Boston stops there, and there is a recoupling. The engines that have driven you have to go off, another set of engines come back. And I had asked for a video to be made for this meeting of trains being coupled And the point was to show how can we recouple Nigeria after BRICS such that we have a true handshake across this federation. And people working with people to build a better tomorrow for all of their children. This is really what this conversation is about. And we will profit from getting more of that out of this engagement. Thank you, Mazi.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Patu Tommy there. You know, you've basically put it in a very, you know, straightforward way. Now, there is something that I want us to quickly explore here. I do not know if we still have Senator Shehu Sani or the Alhaji Hakim Ahmed. If any of them is here, I would quickly want them to, you know, look into a submission that was previously made, which is very clearly that if Nigeria was working, those agitating to get out of Nigeria wouldn't be doing so. Now, I think it will help us to come back here and look at it. The question again, is Nigeria working? Is it that the inability of the Nigerian system to work is what is pushing people into agitation? In the time of 1966, that this coup happened, was Nigeria working? Is Nigeria working today? Is it a new metaphor? Is it something new? Or is it something that has been in existence for over a long time? Honestly, it's something, a question that comes from Facebook, it's come from the YouTube, it's come from even within this Zoom. And I would want someone to take that question. If we do not have Hakim Ahmed, or if we do not have Shehu Sani, probably I would like to bring back our elder, Pa Ayo Adebanjo, quickly to put these two in one. Please answer this question and also bring in your closing remark, because we're now rounding up. Sir, over to you. Thank you, sir, once more. I think you're muted, sir.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very happy I take part in this discussion. And I want to appeal all the intellectuals and all the grammars that have been talking to please listen to my statement. I'm not talking, the analysis you are making is all what we know. What never again now is, what do we do that don't happen again? We all know what happened. Where we all the street what we have been taking does not make push us forward. What push us forward is, how do we move forward and get out of this thing? My own two angles I want to do. One, I'll give a quick reply to Tanko Yakasai. But the main thing I want to impress, even to our Igbo leaders, is that is what Ango Big said, and what everybody said in passing without analyzing it. Our problem is our constitution. Go back to where we were before this trouble started. And that is the women's way as okay that well. Was I treated before then? In the first report before the coup, we qualified ourselves, but we shoot ourselves in the words of mouth. We judge. Why all the bluff of the North, so to say, which they don't want to meet, which is evident in Tanko Yakasai's statements that now that they are in control, they want to meet the control. I won't give them the control now. It's the amended constitution that gives all the power to the president. That makes our president the most powerful president in the whole world today. That is why it's hesitant. That is why the average Northerner, not the few ones like Sonny and others, the people are really enjoying the benefit of the lopsided constitution, the fraudulent constitution we are having. Because the late William said our constitution is a fraudulent document. And then your contributions and the contributors have said in this statement. Why? You say we the people. If we make the constitution, the people of Federal Republic, are we federal? This is the problem. And here again, I want to answer Jerry Bomodu's question to Kanu. That is this Fulani that are killing people and now killing people? It is the Fulani, and I give you an answer. Fulani is the headman of here. When Otto said, these aspects who are killing me, I know them. This is their name. They have Mesiana, these are Fulani. What did your Buhari say? He said, go and make friends with them. You are all in the country. So when the Kanu said that it is Fulani, it is not the Fulani of Arasoni, it is not the Fulani of Colonel Umar, it is not the Fulani of the exceptional Fulani. It is the Fulani of Buhari intellectual, of Buhari thinking that we are talking about. And you are talking of want to move forward. And thank God, as I say, we are now living in peace. Why? Because your president of the custom is dominated by Katsina and the North. Your president of the army by the North. Your president of the police by the North. And you say we are living in peace. It's an enforced place because of no choice. And I want to say this. It doesn't support violence. I am one with Kanu. Why? I don't want this party to break. And as I've said before, I have contributed to the unity of this country before Buhari was born. In 1950, we have been talking of this balanced constitution. In 1979, I spent 1 year in Maiduguri campaigning for the UPS for a united country. I was already a lawyer. There was peace in the Western region. I don't have to go there. But why? We want the country to be together. So when people talk of united country, many of them don't contribute half of what I make in the country for them before the result of the unity. And let me say this. If the country today agreed to restructure the country back to federalism, you are silent the Kanu. I have said it before. I have said it too. There will be no agitation from the Igbezu people if there is true federal constitution where derivation is made, which you now call resource control. All the trouble we are having now, all the country we are having, are the product of the imposed constitution. Let us face that. The moment you do this constitution to what we all agree to, there will be peace. There will be no ground for Kanu to say want to break away. As I often illustrate, if you are in a club, you're having a lot of advantage there, you make contributions there, you would like to get out. But when you are in a club where you feel cheated, you like to get out. For instance, when you are talking of equality, you want the people to stay, and I've told them that. And you say the presidency is something, they are not entitled to beg for it. And why do you always refer to the North to concede to you? I object to that. And my brothers from this week should take note. The attitude to the presidency is selfish. The attitude to it is constitutional right. And that is why I am pressing that should be a change of this constitution before any election. And I will be using the language, no Nigeria. The bottom line, when there is no structuring and you keep putting to They are having, it's not the fact we agree to, it's the part they made themselves when they staged the coup. All the problems of the coup, we all don't understand. But let's just have the courage now to tell our northern brothers who pretend, like Jako Yakasai, that everything is all right because they are power. And then we tell you, after you can't have it without our consent. And people now talk about you about if you do this or the North will not agree. What gives the part of the North to agree to our own together we are going to be Nigeria? Why? It is inequality in the constitution, which they made themselves. So my own people, all the grammar you are trying, and I've told.
Okay. What I think something for some reason technically, it appears we have lost connection with Pa Ayo Adebanjo. But quickly, what I would now do is, here we are very strict. 1 minute. I will call 3 people, and it's going to be 4 people. It's going to be in this order. I will get Comrade Delia Ajufo, please, Chidi Omeje, and Ferdinand Francis. 3 of you. The last person is going to be Charity Shakari. Please, 1 minute intervention. Unmute yourself and make your intervention starting from Deli Ajofo. Deli Ajofo, please, quickly, 1 minute.
I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to say something. We have different views on what should happen in Nigeria. But if we must stay together, the North must divest itself of that arrogance of I am born to rule. It's nauseating. It infuriates most of us that it's pushing us towards the secessionist group. Until we do that, we're not going to talk to each other the way we should. I have dwelt on it on different platforms, and I'm not going to go into details. But those of them who are from the North, who call themselves elitist people from the North, should divest themselves of that program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Chidi or Major, please. Chidi, quickly, hello? 1 minute.
Hello?
Chidi, quickly, 1 minute. Chidi or Major.
Hello?
Chidi, please, 1 minute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. 1 minute, please. We are losing your minute.
So, okay, now I'd like to direct my questions to our elder statesmen from the North and, of course, in the Southwest. If we agree that the greatest problem we have, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, go ahead. Sorry, hold on. Adebanjo, please hold on. We will come back to you. You went off, so we've continued. We'll come back to you, Adebanjo, please. Chidi, go ahead.
So let me go straight. I want to find out from these elders of ours who are not really from the Southeast, or not Igbo people. Would they agree with us that the first step towards reintegrating us, the Igbos, fully into the system is by supporting us to produce, to have what we call presidency of the Southeast construction come 2023? Wouldn't that be the first step? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chidi Omeje, on that. Ferdinand Francis, please. Go ahead and speak. 1 minute. Ferdinand, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Please, I'm sorry for the noise because I'm on the road. I just have a few questions to ask the elite. First of all, I want to ask just a simple question of where is the chief of staff? Because I learned that in Nigeria there's hospital, right? And now this so-called elite, they fly to countries to get a treatment. What about my mother in the village who don't have the money to fly to countries for treatment? What plan did they have? And now I come from East. When I'm speaking for admission to read a law, they will ask me I have to score almost 300 marks before I can get to university. While in the North, they give them little marks. How we won? How can it work? When a bishop make an entrance that the government is not good, you find a Fulani man telling the bishop to leave the Sokoto, except he apologized. How we won?
Thank you very much. You have exceeded your 1 minute. Please, you've exceeded your 1 minute. Thank you very much. I would be getting back to. Okay, sorry. I think it's Alhaji Tanko Yakasa back. I think in that case we'll get his response.
Mazi, please take the order you had before.
Okay, there's the charity. Sorry, I think yes. Do we have Charity Shekari?
Hello?
Pa Adebanjo, we will bring you back. Sorry, just hold on.
I have not finished this.
Pa Adebanjo,
I have not wound up, please.
Okay, we'll give you 2 minutes to round up, please, sir. Go ahead.
As I was saying, the emphasis I want to make is that all the grammar we are talking, we should put all our emphasis for the change of the constitution now. That is the solution to all that they are talking about development, about the digitalization, about this and that. And we must know that until this constitution is changed, where all the owner of the South we are under slavery. And the Lord must not be showing the idea that unless they agree, they cannot change it. And we must be bold enough to tell them that it is a pretense for them to say they don't understand what is structuring. People like Chaco Yakasai now say they don't understand what is structuring.
Hello?
But if you don't understand it, what we are saying is go back to the constitution we had at independence. It's simple that. Why are they afraid to go back to the constitution Saudana, Azikwe, and Ola Ome? Or did they change it in 1966? That's the cause of the matter. And let's stop this idea of when you go to the South, you don't go anywhere. It is go to the East constitutionally. And let the Easterners themselves stop begging for it. What they should fight for now is to change this constitution before talking about where the presidency will go.
God bless you.
The North, the power, the pretense to show that they can dictate where to go. And that the zoning is not the constitution. Not the, yes. Let us now wait for a constitution that will make every part of the federative unit a right to presidency. Constitutional, they don't have to suffer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would have wished that anyway, you've actually partly answered the question that Chido Meja asked. But I think I will bring back Charity. Charity, quickly, Charity Shakari, please. Can you quickly unmute yourself and make yes? Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good day, everyone. When you are on the table of talking about never again, I think never again is about never again. And then when we are discussing about never again, then people like Kanu come, people like Onyeka come to say they want to go. Who is going to pet you to stop going where you're going to go? For crying out loud, we are all having issues in this country and we have come here to say never again. So no one has the monopoly of anger, of wanting to leave. Every one of us has one or two or three or more issues that we are talking about. Please, come on. Let's come off this thing of Igbos constantly threatening the whole country. They are going to go. They are going to go. When you have a child who is always telling you he wants to go, there is a day he will go and may come back like the prodigal son. Secondly, if we are here talking about never again, why do the Igbos always talk about the North? The North. Must they revert to the North? Is the North their ruler or their controller? Please, let's go and reassess how we are going to stay together properly and stop this victim mentality. I am from the Middle Belt. I am called that I'm a Northerner. I have issues too, but please, When we come to talk and we join to all talk together, then some people now stick their necks out and start talking like ostriches and start talking also. It doesn't make us feel happy to come onto a platform that says, never again. Please, I am stating this again. When we all come here to talk, we are trying to look for a solution. And everyone should come to look for a solution for a never again. But not to come here and start threatening everyone. Nobody loves the Igbos. Nobody likes this. Nobody wants them. So they are going to go. If you go, what's going to happen? Will heaven fall down? Nothing will happen if you go. I thought we were here to find out how we will move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know if I can come in very briefly now.
Go ahead, Dele. Go ahead.
I think a platform such as this is not just about agreeing, it's about disagreeing to agree. So
that's
there are
why
people, yes, so madam, don't worry. I believe this has been a very, very good conversation, because if we all come and we all say all the nice things to ourselves and go away, then we haven't achieved anything. So don't worry. Yes,
you know what I'm talking about.
Everybody would have their say, if have their way. So there is nothing to worry about, madam. Thank you so much for your response. You are now as angry as everyone else. So it's the same thing at the end of the day.
I think you know, it's quite funny. It's the question I posed before. She somehow answered the question. She's kind of told us now, which some of my friends from the Middle Belt have been telling me. But she said it. She's from the Middle Belt.
I have a question.
Hold on. So she said
let's take Alaji Tango Yakasai, please.
Okay. So Alaji is back. Yeah. Alaji, you can please make your summary.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I have a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Alaji, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Can I talk?
Go ahead,
please,
sir.
Please go on, sir.
Yes. Well, I would like to start by thanking the organizers of this conference. It is a well thought out event, idea, and I'm glad that they are able to bring everybody together from every part of the country. It is not wrong for everybody to say what is in his mind. I've been listening to people who wanted to get out of Nigeria for a long time. I've never been a believer in the destruction of Nigeria. I started fighting for one Nigeria way back as 1953. I was arrested, imprisoned twice in 1963 and 1964 because of my commitment to one Nigeria. I've never had anybody who's talking of getting out of Nigeria, including Nnamdi Kanu, making a proposal for an alternative. There is no Nigeria for everybody, or even for himself. But this is a country where we are operating a democracy. Everybody should be free to say whatever he is. This is a democracy in which the views of the majority always prevail. But the minorities have the right to say whatever they want to say. I think on your behalf, I will thank everybody who honored this invitation. And I will appeal that to Nigeria, that whenever a meeting like this is invited or is organized, when you are invited, please make time to attend so that, and also make time to contribute, because it is our collective contribution that will make the aggregate of the idea that we want to sell to the country. It is a beautiful thing, and I pray that it will not be long before we'll get another invitation together again and discuss Nigeria. But I would like to say something. When people are angry, that's why in Islam, you are not allowed to sack your wife when you are angry. When you are angry. When you are angry, you dismiss your wife, that dismissal is invalid. Because anybody who speaks out of anger is not in control of himself. Let us speak as mature people. There will be various ideas. I'm glad that this country, I know I'm a northerner, but we are the most unlucky people in this country. Most people blame us for any of their problems in this country. But we are the poorest in the country. I was reading recently the number of millionaires in Nigeria, billionaires, not millionaires, in Nigeria. Out of 10, 8 were from the south. Only 2 are from the north. Aliko Dangote and Abdusalam Isiaq Rabiu. But we held power more than any ethnic group in terms of time. We didn't, the fact that we held power longer than anybody, and yet we became the poorest, shows that we are not. So I thank you very much for the opportunity, and I congratulate everybody for this wonderful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dele, I think we are rounding up now, and quickly, if we can take one more person before we bring in Ngozi Odumoko to give us a closing remark. Ngozi Odumoko, for those who do not know, is the brain behind this, or rather, the head of Nzuko umunna. Please, Zamila Zana Mohammed, if you could unmute yourself.
Yes, we should take that.
Please, after you, then Ngozi would. Yes.
You're breaking, Mazi. Can you mention the name again so that he or she can hear and take that question?
It's Zamila Zana Mohammed. I've just asked he or she to unmute, please.
It's me.
Go ahead.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, good day, everyone. I'm just a passionate Nigerian here. I love Nigeria. I love Nigerians. And I want to say Nigeria is a great nation. It's Nigerian in all this. If only we understand and know how blessed we are, we should be thinking of making love, peace, and unity. Life is unpredictable. Life is too short. And some of us that I'm a Wazobia, I was born in Kaduna, I'm married to a Northerner, so I speak Yoruba, I speak Hausa, I speak Igbo, and all that. So what I'm just saying in a nutshell, we need a new constitution. We have to think positive. We should stop holding grudges. We hold grudges, we're not going to move ahead. Trust me, if we come together as one nation, we come together under one umbrella, one voice, it's going to be Nigeria and others. Please, Mazi, if you can hear me, sweetheart, I think we come together as one, no Biafra. We should just think peace. So I just urge us to just, move ahead by maybe a new constitution, and it has to be implemented. It has to be, we have to follow the constitution. Like I live here in UK. What makes here work because of the law is a country that follows the law. They are not better off than Nigeria. So my heart bleeds. I've traveled, and when I see what happens, and I just feel, oh God, open the eyes of those people blind. So importantly,
I want us to leave this forum. Let's think and what is going to be the next step. Nigerians, you are great, you are intelligent, you are lovely. Nothing is one blood, one Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On that note, we will have the last person to have the last word for today. We have Ngozi Odumoko. Ngozi, please, over to you.
Hello, can you all hear me? Can you hear me, Mazi? Please let me know if
yes, we can hear you, Ngozi.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I want to start by thanking Nzuko Umunna. Nzuko Umunna is an Igbo think tank group that parades itself as a bridge builder that believes in building bridges. We organized and championed handshake across the Niger that brought about the shared values and relationship between the Igbos and Yoruba. We also organized handshake across Nigeria that also brought together the northern Nigeria and the southern Nigeria to engage. And now, Nzuko Umunna started this project of Never Again, which its first project was done in 2020, 50 years after the Civil War. And we had champions, leaders from across Nigeria coming to engage, including Professor Wole Soyinka, and leaders up north, Senator Shehu Sani, and Alhaji Ahmed Judah, and Bayo Adebanjo, and also great leaders from South, Chief Edwin Clark, and the Middle Belt, Dr. Bogu Beatrice, and all of them. Now, this brought us to 51 years. The idea for Nzuko Umunna is to institutionalize this project. And we thank God for the capacity of Ovation International, the CEO, Chief Dele Momodu, who is a great influential champion as it regards to social media and every kind of media outfit in Nigeria. And also Mazi is okay, the CEO of NJENJEMEDIA. Dear Nigerians, dear Onyigo, dear Amon Yoruba, dear our people in the north, the Fulani, the Hausas, the Birons, the Idomas, the Igalas, the Ijaws, the Shekiris. We think that there cannot be any meaningful progress without engagement. We are happy that on this platform today, people are venting, people are saying it as is. Sometimes it is good to allow people to say things the way they want to say them. It is in that healing comes. Many people were not born before the Civil War or did not see it, especially the post-EndSARS children. Those who participated in the EndSARS did not see the Civil War. And in that sense, people are asking that what happened in the Civil War, do we want it to happen again? And if it must not happen again, how do we make a new arrangement? And I must thank so much when we reached out to Alhaji Tanko Yakasai, who accepted to make it to this project, Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed, Senator Shehu Sani, Alhaji Ahmed Judah, Her Excellency Charity Shekari, Professor Ladi Hamalai, Professor Patu Tomi, Pa Ayo Adebanjo, His Excellency President Olusegun Obasanjo, ex-president, also all the great leaders, those I may not have remembered to mention. Moving forward, this is the action plan. The committee planning this being chaired by Professor Patu Tomi believe that we must continue to have this strategic engagement. Post this, what we're going to do, behind the scene, we've agreed that there will be a come-together, a committee of all these champions across the land for us to sustain this conversation. It is good for people to talk. Let us display our anger. It is in that display that there is healing. The idea for Nzuko Umunna Never Again is that we don't want no more war. The Igbos are peace-loving people. The Yorubas are peace-loving people. The Middle Belt, the Northerners, we all want, we share something in common, our humanity. We want to thank also our brother Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who also made it to this platform and say things the way he sees them. In all of this, there is need for a roundtable conversation. There is no harm in Mazi Nnamdi Kanu sitting on the table, President Buhari sitting, governor sitting, leaders sitting of ethnic nationalities, the leader of the Igbo Nation, the president, sitting, and we all converse. I say, how do we move forward? Let there be healing. Let there be peace. Let there be no more war. Even if people want to talk about, if you believe in restructuring, whatever you believe in, regional government, let us have a conversation. There is no need for any war. There is no need for any fight. God created us as one. First, we are humans before we became Christians, Muslims, Yoruba, Ijo, Idoma. We are all humans first. So please let us celebrate our humanity. Let us appreciate the fact that we must be alive to become an independent nation or a collective nation. However, there is need to have this conversation. We cannot run away from the conversation. Let us have it and have it in a peaceful and lawful environment. God bless you all. We love you all. Let there be peace in the land. Thank you and God bless you.
Well, thank you so much. I think on this note, we can call it a day. I believe we've covered a lot of grounds today, and we look forward to the next outing of this organization. Nice. Thank you so much. And then to NJENJEMEDIA and their crew for Innovation Television.
Well, thank you very much. I think somehow, the good thing is that we have now come to an end. And I want to use this opportunity to once more thank every single participant that attended today. Thank you very much. And, again, that is the end of it. And thank you, Ovation TV and NJENJEMEDIA as well. Thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you. With one voice.